Chapter 17:16. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. Countless sharp sword lights bloomed around his body and slashed in all directions. Instantly, those branches were quickly cut off. Crack! Crack! However, it was not over yet. New branches grew out from those cut-off branches and quickly wrapped around Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. They were endless and could not be killed at all. Lin Xian tried a few times and also discovered this characteristic. Thus, he hurriedly called out to the Crimson Dragon, "Let's go. Leave this forest." The two of them rushed to the left like lightning. The others did not continue to fight. They also turned around and quickly left. Whoosh! However, in this black forest, the sound of countless wings flapping suddenly sounded. Soon after, numerous black shadows flew out from the forest, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was a strange black bird. Its entire body was black, and it was the size of a palm. However, its eyes were extremely red and had a bloodthirsty glow. "Damn it! It's the blood crows. Run!" Someone cried out in surprise. Hearing this, the surrounding warriors felt their scalps go numb. The blood crows were an extremely terrifying type of monster. They specialized in sucking the flesh and blood of warriors and could be said to be very evil. These blood crows were not very strong individually, but they were social creatures. Every time they moved, they would cover the sky and cover the earth. They formed an extremely terrifying army of blood crows that ordinary kings could not resist at all. Now, they did not expect to encounter such terrifying blood crows. For a time, countless people could no longer care about hiding their strength and fled crazily. However, there were too many of these blood crows. In all directions, in the sky and on the ground, there were blood crows everywhere. In an instant, they collided with the human warriors. Poof! A human warrior was covered by hundreds of blood crows in an instant. His body was directly caught. Explode! Blood mist filled the air, and the blood was quickly devoured by the blood crows. Not only that, the taste of the blood stimulated the blood crows. Every one of them released a terrifying blood-red light and flew crazily toward the human warriors. Screams sounded one after another. Not long after, many martial artists were clawed into a bloody mist. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were also shocked. Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his fist. Terrifying black fist shadows surged forward and wrapped up a group of blood crows. For a moment, a vacuum appeared in the sky. Looking at this scene, the surrounding people were all shocked. Such combat prowess was simply too terrifying. But soon, Lin Xian frowned. This was because the empty space was quickly covered by countless blood crows once again. They were densely packed, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they rushed toward him. This scene was extremely terrifying. Even Lin Xian felt his scalp go numb. In the next moment, he quickly used the Dragon Sword Realm to envelop him and the Crimson Dragon. Terrifying sword chi swept out in all directions, resisting the blood crows that filled the sky. Then, Lin Xian moved and sprinted forward. Screams of agony could be heard all around. However, there were also experts among these martial artists. Clang! There was a deafening sound. Then, in the distance, a blue thunderbolt lit up and rushed into the sky. The terrifying power of thunder and lightning descended and quickly attacked those blood crows. It was an expert from the Myriad Thunder sect. At this moment, he roared and lightning flashed all over his body. He looked like a thunder god. On the other side, a golden light soared into the sky like a golden river roaring in the void. The experts from the Wavering Light Sacred Land also made their move. There was another earth-shattering sound. Then, a saber light cut through the void like a rainbow. From time to time, experts appeared in the crowd to fight against the terrifying Blood Crow army. The surrounding ancient martial art practitioners quickly followed behind these top powers and rushed forward. With these powerhouses around, their safety was guaranteed. However, not long after, an extremely cold cry suddenly sounded from the Blood Crow army in front. Then, a huge monster appeared in front of them. It was a huge blood crow, as big as a house. Its head was ferocious, and there were 3 blood-red eyeballs on it. As soon as this huge blood crow appeared, It carried a monstrous, murderous aura and boundless bloody light. Then, it spread its wings and made a weird croaking sound. In the third eye, a blood-red bolt of lightning suddenly shot out. Rumble. This blood-red bolt of lightning struck the crowd and instantly killed more than 10 martial artists. Damn it. Not good. It's the Blood Crow King. Everyone's scalp went numb. They could not even fight against an ordinary Blood Crow army. They did not expect the Blood Crow King to appear now. This made them unable to resist at all. Humph. What, Blood Crow King? Watch me destroy you. A middle-aged man snorted. He held a shiny long saber in his hand, and his entire body emitted a monstrous aura. With a slash of the saber light was like a rainbow. The dazzling saber light illuminated the entire forest. A terrifying aura surged in the void, causing the entire island to shake rapidly. Melon Melon. The Blood Crow King roared crazily. Then, its 3 eyeballs turned and countless blood-red lightning surged out quickly. Boom. In the next moment, the blood-red lightning that filled the sky collided with the terrifying saber light. Violent energy exploded, and the world was dazzling. Under the blood-red lightning, the terrifying saber light was not blocked at all and directly shattered into pieces. Not only that, but even that martial artist was also pierced by the blood-red lightning. What? An expert was killed. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalp went numb. That swordsman was very powerful. Previously, it was him who killed countless blood crows with one slash. But they did not expect that he would be killed by the Blood Crow King in just one move. This was simply too shocking. Lin Xian also frowned because he realized that the Blood Crow King's strength was indeed terrifying. He did not want to be entangled with the opponent, so he used the Dragon Sword Realm. His entire body turned into a sharp sword light and continued to open up a path. After the Blood Crow King killed the swordsman, its 3 blood-red eyeballs emitted a monstrous blood-red light and then swept in all directions. Soon, it stared at Lin Xian, the Yaoguang Sacred Lands experts, the Myriad Thunder Sect, and the other human experts. In the next moment, it spread its wings and the blood-red light on its body surged quickly. Then, it turned into dozens of Blood Crow avatars and rushed towards Lin Xian and the others. These Blood Crow avatars were 2 meters long and completely blood-red. They were completely composed of blood-red lightning. They carried a monstrous demonic aura. Not only that, although they were just avatars, their strength was terrifying. The Blood Crow King actually wanted to use its power to fight against Lin Xian, the Yaoguang Sacred Land, and the other human experts. It had to be said that it was too arrogant. All the surrounding martial artists felt their scalps go numb and quickly retreated. Lin Xian also frowned. He snorted coldly and waved his fist. The image of a black dragon with black lightning quickly appeared and charged into the void. In the next moment, it collided with the Blood Crow King's avatar. Chapter 17:17. Boom. The void was torn apart in an instant. Terrifying energy swept in all directions, causing the surrounding Blood Crow army to be affected as well. In the sky, the 2 energies collided with each other, creating a terrifying storm. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon did not hesitate either. They took advantage of this opportunity to set off again. On the other side, the powerhouses of the Wavering Light Sacred Land, Myriad Thunder Sect, and other experts were also attacked by the Blood Crow King's clone. These people roared and used their ultimate skills to fight against the Blood Crow King's clone. A huge golden phantom appeared behind the powerhouse of the Wavering Light Sacred Land. A terrifying light rushed into the sky. The powerhouse of the Myriad Thunder Sect also held a thunder sword in his hand and slashed forward. The other powerhouses also quickly attacked to fight against it. A great battle broke out, and the terrifying energy seemed to destroy the entire island. Under normal circumstances, a casual attack from these people would be able to destroy the entire island. But now, with so many powerhouses attacking together, the terrifying energy explosion still did not shake the Black Island. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Despicable outsiders. How dare you enter my oblique moon mystic world? You can stay here. This voice was very low and carried a cold killing intent. Hearing this, everyone trembled. However, The powerhouse of the wavering light sacred land exclaimed in surprise. Damn it! You're a native of the ancient ruins. How is this possible? You're still alive. This voice was filled with shock and horror. After the others heard this, their scalps went numb. There were actually natives in the ancient ruins, and they were still alive. This was really too unbelievable. One had to know that this place was an ancient ruin that had existed for countless years. Even a great emperor could not live for so long. But now, these people were actually still alive. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Are you humans or ghosts? The powerhouse of the myriad thunder sect also roared. At this moment, everyone's bodies trembled, and a chill rose in their hearts. Even the Crimson Dragon and Lin Xian's scalps went numb. The two of them looked at each other and no longer held back. They erupted with powerful auras and rushed forward. This news was too shocking. There were actually people from the ancient times who were still alive. Furthermore, it was on this island. Just the thought of it was terrifying. At this moment, the dragon's sword realm was pushed to its limits. Turning into a shocking dragon-shaped sword shadow, it flew out rapidly. Roar! Everywhere it passed, a large number of blood crows were pierced through. Nothing could stop it. Who dares to trespass into my ancestral land? That voice was heard once again before a majestic wave of energy shot towards Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. The terrifying energy surged towards Lin Xian like a sharp blade. Wherever it passed, the entire void trembled rapidly, and even the ground caved in. One had to know that this black island was extremely sturdy. Even when so many experts had attacked, they had not been able to break it. And now, a mere wave of energy had caused such a change to the entire Black Island. One could imagine how terrifying this energy fluctuation was. Wong. At this critical moment, Lin Xian drew out the 9 Darkness Demonic Sword. Together with the Dragon Sword Realm, his combat strength was raised to the extreme. He turned into a sharp sword light and dodged forward. A terrifying light shot into the sky. Chi-Chi. At this moment, the entire Dragon Sword Realm was extremely sharp and fast. In the end, he narrowly avoided the attack. He actually dodged it. Seeing this scene, the indigenous person hiding in the dark was also very surprised. He did not expect that the other party could actually dodge his attack. This was really too surprising. Looking at the figures of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, a figure in the dark sneered. So what if you dodge this? You will be killed sooner or later. The indigenous person shook his head and ignored Lin Xian and the others. Instead, he stared at the experts of the Yaoguang sacred land and the myriad thunder sect on the island and attacked again. Suddenly, a terrifying battle broke out. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon dodged the shocking attack. Then, the two of them flew quickly and directly left the Black Island. After leaving the Black Island, there was still the sea in front of them. However, the sea water had turned into a strange black color. As it surged, it carried an extremely cold aura. It was not until they were far away from the Black Island that Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon slowed down. Then, the two of them heaved a sigh of relief. Their faces were full of fear. It was too dangerous. If they were a step slower, they would definitely have been hit by that shocking energy. Even if they did not die, they would be seriously injured. That was not what shocked the two of them. What shocked the two of them even more was that there were indigenous people alive in the ancient ruins. This was simply too unbelievable. Moreover, according to their guess, that mysterious person should not be the only one alive. Damn it! What the hell is this place? How can someone live here for so long? Lin Xian's expression was solemn. At this time, He Tu also floated out and said in a deep voice, "It's impossible for someone to live for so long. A great emperor can only live for 10 or 20,000 years at most, unless it's a real immortal. However, whether there are immortals in this world is still unknown. Perhaps there are people who have survived in the ancient ruins. Those who left before were not from the ancient times, but their descendants, perhaps." Hearing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as they were not from the ancient times. However, the situation is still not optimistic, the Crimson Dragon said. Those people have lived in the ancient ruins for who knows how long. I'm afraid that even if there are treasures here, they would have already found them. And those that they can't find, we won't be able to find them in a short time. It seems that this trip was a waste of time. Indeed, the Crimson Dragon was right. Lin Xian also frowned. However, it was impossible to go back now. It was better to leave the Black Sea first and observe the situation. Next, Lin Xian took out a spirit boat, and the two of them flew into the distance. Of course, they did not fly in the air but flew close to the sea surface. Although the speed of the spirit boat was not very fast, it saved a lot of energy. On the Black Island, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had used up some of their energy. Therefore, they were sitting cross-legged and absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy with difficulty. The supreme-grade subdivine crystals and elixirs in their hands were prepared for an emergency situation and to recover quickly. 3 days later, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon finally recovered. However, they still could not see the end of the sea. However, not long after, the spirit boat under their feet suddenly trembled violently as if it had encountered a huge monster. Chapter 17:18. This alerted Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. The two of them stood up and looked down. Boom, boom, boom. The spiritual boat kept shaking, and the surrounding seawater surged rapidly. Countless huge waves appeared as if they were going to devour the boat. There's something. Lin Xian frowned. Then, he quickly jumped up high with the Crimson Dragon. At the same time, he flipped his palm and kept the spiritual boat. Indeed, in the next moment, waves surged on the surface of the sea. A black tentacle stretched out from the bottom of the sea. It was pitch black like ink. It looked like a devil's claw from hell. With an eerie and terrifying aura, it quickly rushed into the sky. Along with it, there was the sound of rolling waves and a terrifying murderous aura. What's that? The Crimson Dragon was also shocked and quickly retreated. On the other side, Lin Xian retreated rapidly. The black tentacle quickly descended and slapped the surface of the sea. Then, it formed two waves that were 1,000 feet high and rushed in all directions. The pitch-black seawater was extremely heavy. It was like black gold. At this moment, it became extremely cold. Lin Xian snorted coldly as he looked at the incoming black waves. Then, he waved his fist. A black dragon claw appeared and waved rapidly in the void. Crack, crack, crack. The void was torn apart in an instant. The black waves that were 1,000 feet high were also torn in half. Countless black waves landed on both sides of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. However, not a single drop fell on them. During this process, Lin Xian also activated his heavenly secret god eyes to see what was below. It was a huge octopus. It was extremely terrifying. Its size was about the same as the Black Island from before. In particular, the aura of the octopus was as deep as the sea. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon felt their scalps go numb. They did not want to fight against it. Then, the two of them moved again and flew into the distance. This time, they didn't care about anything else. They held the two supreme quality subdivine crystals and flew at full speed while absorbing the energy. The Crimson Dragon let out a deep dragon roar, and the dragon blood in its body soared to the sky. It exuded a powerful divine beast aura, warning everyone in all directions. The aura of the dragon race permeated the air, incomparably terrifying. Immediately, the incomparably huge black octopus became extremely fearful. He didn't continue to pursue Lin Xian and Lin Xian. The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the following days, they encountered countless huge sea creatures, each of which was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, they managed to escape without any mishap. 10 days later, they finally discovered another black dot in front of them. Another island? The two of them frowned, but as they continued to fly, joy appeared on their faces. The reason for that was because they discovered that it was not an island. Instead, it was land. I finally left this terrifying sea of darkness. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were overjoyed and sped up again. In front of him was a golden beach, and behind the golden beach was a dense forest. It was not a strange black forest, but a normal green forest. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon arrived on the Golden Beach. Feeling the scalding heat, the two of them felt as if they had just survived a disaster. The past few days had been too terrifying. Each of those sea creatures was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, the Crimson Dragon was a dragon and had a powerful divine beast aura. That was why they were able to escape. Lin Xian was still fine as he quietly observed his surroundings. The dark red dragon, on the other hand, was lying on the Golden Beach and rolling around nonstop. There are spirit fruits ahead. The Crimson Dragon looked ahead and saw a strange-shaped fruit growing on a tree in front of them. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Lin Xian also pursed his lips. He was also a little hungry these days. Finally, the two of them walked forward. However, at this moment, several figures walked out of the forest. They stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon with unfriendly expressions. Seeing that there were people coming out, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon became nervous, because they thought that they were the natives of the ancient ruins. But then, they breathed a sigh of relief, because they found that they were not natives, but warriors of the major forces who came with them. As long as they were not natives, Lin Xian breathed a sigh of relief. The people in front of them sneered. "Kid, hand over all your treasures and be our slaves. We can spare your life. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. F***CK. It's another robbery." The Crimson Dragon looked unhappy. He had been chased for more than 10 days. He did not expect to be robbed again. Therefore, he said coldly, "Get out of here. Otherwise, Bin Huang will eat you. You're courting death. It's just a four-horned snake. How dare it make a fuss? Go, kill it. We'll have snake soup tonight." A young man sneered. He pulled out the long saber at his waist and slashed forward. A dazzling saber light flashed, bringing with it a powerful storm. The saber was extremely terrifying. "Stinky snake, die," the young man sneered. However, the Crimson Dragon snorted. He did not hold back at all. His body swayed, and his dragon tail swept out. Clang! The next moment, his dragon tail collided with the sharp saber light. A terrifying sound wave shook the void, causing countless cracks to appear in the surrounding area. Explode! However, the result was beyond everyone's expectations. The terrifying saber light was destroyed by the Crimson Dragon's tail. What? That's impossible. The young man's pupil shrank when he saw this scene. He did not expect that the other party was so powerful. "Let's kill him together." The other two warriors also realized that something was wrong. They roared angrily, and a sharp light burst out from their bodies. They decided to join forces and kill the Crimson Dragon first. Whoosh! However, the Crimson Dragon was too fast. Just as those people attacked, he slapped down with his dragon claw. Boom! It covered the sky as if a red mountain had descended from the sky. The young martial artist who had attacked before hadn't even recovered from his shock when he was slapped into a bloody mist. "You're courting death. Kill him." The others roared crazily when they saw this scene. They did not expect the other party to be so decisive and kill one of their warriors in an instant. Humph! In the void, a dazzling ray of light shone like a rainbow, descending from the sky. It was a triangular mirror made of bronze. It was engraved with mysterious patterns. At this moment, a terrifying ray of light shone down from the mirror. It was as sharp as a heavenly saber. The ray of light quickly swept toward the Crimson Dragon. "Damn you, snake! Die!" The warrior holding the bronze mirror sneered. However, this time, the Crimson Dragon did not dodge. Instead, he waved his dragon claw and quickly clawed forward. Clang! There was another earth-shattering sound, and the entire void trembled. Chapter 17:19. However, the result was not what they had expected. The Crimson Dragon was not pierced. Instead, he shattered the terrifying light with a slap. "What? That's impossible. Damn it. I don't believe it." The warrior roared crazily and activated the bronze mirror in his hand with all his strength, shooting out terrifying light beams one after another. However, the Crimson Dragon looked disdainful. He waved his dragon claws and formed a red claw print. He grabbed at the void. Boom! Boom! In the shocking collision, countless light beams were completely shattered. That incomparably terrifying bronze mirror had no effect in front of the dark red divine dragon at this moment. Not only that, but the dark red divine dragon's figure swayed and directly arrived in front of the martial artist. What? The warrior was shocked. He did not expect the opponent to be so fast. He did not even have time to react. Bang! The dark red divine dragon sneered and slapped the ancient bronze mirror away from the man's hand. Then, he waved his dragon claws and pierced through the warrior. Bang! A bloody mist exploded, bringing with it a strong smell of blood. What? He killed another warrior. When the remaining two saw this, their scalps went numb. They did not expect the four-horned crawling snake in front of them to be so powerful that it surprised them. Oh no, the enemy is too powerful. Run. The two warriors looked at each other and did not attack. Instead, they fled in the opposite direction. The Crimson Dragon looked at the scene and smiled. Then, he raised his head and spat out two balls of dragon flames. Whoosh! Whoosh! The red flames were like flowing lights. They instantly wrapped around the two warriors and burned them. Ah! 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 Two screams were heard. Then, the two warriors were burned to ashes. Clang! In the distance, two storage rings fell to the ground with a crisp sound. A few pieces of trash. You want to attack Bin Huang? You're courting death. The Crimson Dragon snorted disdainfully. He waved his dragon claws and took away all the storage rings of the warriors. Lin Xian, on the other hand, watched quietly from the side. From the beginning to the end, he did not make a move. Seeing the Crimson Dragon take care of his opponent, he said with a smile, "All right, Ruzalong, go hunt a few wild beasts and roast them." At the same time, he also brought out the snow-white fox and asked it to pick some spirit fruits. Wooji wooji, the snow-white little roar transformed into a streak of white lightning and flew towards the forest. Not long after, it returned with a large pile of spirit fruits. This wasn't because Lin Xian was lazy, but because the little white monkey was very intelligent. The heaven-chosen fruit definitely didn't contain any poison. Moreover, their spiritual power was the most abundant. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon had also returned. Its tail was dragging a huge tiger, a cheetah, and a white jade elephant. After that, Lin Xian began to prepare the barbecue. 3 bonfires were set up on the beach. Then, the corpses of 3 huge demonic beasts were cut into pieces and placed on top of the bonfires. Not long after, the aroma of barbecued meat wafted over. Not only that, Lin Xian even cut the spirit fruits into pieces and placed them aside. He even took out some secret spirit wine and placed it on the beach. The 3 of them, the Crimson Dragon and the snow-white monkey, surrounded the bonfires and laid on the golden beach comfortably. The sky was blue and spotless. The sunlight was clear and shining on the ground. The sea breeze blew from time to time, bringing with it a salty smell. The aroma of barbecued meat was getting more and more fragrant, making people salivate. If it wasn't for the battle just now, those who didn't know would have thought that the 3 of them were here for a vacation. Soon, the meat was roasted to a golden color and emitted a rich aroma. The Crimson Dragon and the snow-white monkey couldn't wait any longer and pounced on it. Lin Xian also cut a meat leg and slowly tasted it. Not long after, above the sea in front, there was a sudden sound of something breaking through the air. 5 or 6 rainbows cut through the void and flew towards the golden beach. Those auras were so powerful that they directly cut open the sea surface, causing countless waves to crash in all directions. Soon, those rainbows arrived on the beach. In the next moment, those people were stunned, because they saw Lin Xian and the others on the golden beach. It wasn't strange that there were people on the beach, but the scene in front of them was strange. A handsome young man was half lying on the beach, eating golden barbecued meat and drinking supreme-grade spirit wine. It was as if he was on vacation. Beside him, there was a dark red 4-legged snake and a snow-white monkey who were also eating the golden barbecued meat. No matter how one looked at it, this scene was like a dream. Heavens, am I dreaming? Who is this kid? How can he be living such a comfortable life? We risked our lives to escape the sea of death, and he's enjoying himself so much? Could he be a native of this place? Thinking of this, the few of them looked serious and stared at Lin Xian with cold eyes. Lin Xian also put down the golden barbecued meat in his hand and quickly stood up, frowning, because he felt a sense of danger. Although the 5 people in front of him were injured, and their auras were unstable and even very chaotic, but the energy contained in their bodies was still shocking and terrifying. Needless to say, they were definitely 5 experts, especially the one at the front. His aura was even more fierce. It was a burly young man with wounds all over his body, and there was even a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He was quite handsome, but he gave people a very special feeling. Especially his eyes, which were extremely deep and emitted a cold aura. It was like a poisonous snake that made people feel extremely uncomfortable. On his left was a woman. She had a graceful figure and graceful curves. Her clothes were torn, and her slender snow-white legs were faintly discernible. Her jade-like arms and flat stomach were exposed, and it was extremely tempting. On the right were 3 young men. They were all injured, but their eyes were unusually fierce. Moreover, Lin Xian discovered that the 5 of them were wearing the uniform of a sect. Even the Crimson Dragon frowned and quickly transmitted, "Brat, be careful. These are people from the All Beginnings Holy Land." All Beginnings Holy Land. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. This was definitely a terrifying sect. In fact, they were not any weaker than the Wavering Light Holy Land. Moreover, from the looks of these 5 people, they should be elites of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he pondered whether he could kill them in one strike. In the end, he discovered that it was somewhat difficult. Even if he could kill them, he would most likely be seriously injured. In that case, the gains would not make up for the losses. From the current situation, it seemed that he was not the first person to reach this golden beach, nor would he be the last. Before and after this, there would be other experts coming. He had to preserve his strength as a precaution. Therefore, now was not the time to make a move. Moreover, he did not have any enmity with the All Beginnings Holy Land. Therefore, it was not necessary for them to make a move. Just as he was pondering, the 5 All Beginnings Holy Land cultivators in front of him opened their mouths. One of them, a round-faced fatty, coldly shouted, "Brat, who are you? Are you a disciple of a sect or a native of this place?" Chapter 17:20. As he spoke, an exceptionally sharp aura was emitted from his body. It was as though he would immediately attack Lin Xian if his answer didn't conform to his expectations. "Everyone, there's no need to be nervous. I'm not a native. I'm just an ordinary loose cultivator." A loose cultivator? Hearing this, the group heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as he wasn't a native. They didn't care about disciples of sects in the outside world. Even if the other party was someone from the Wavering Light Holy Land, they wouldn't be afraid. Moreover, the other party was just a small loose cultivator. They didn't care about him at all. At this time, the handsome man at the front spoke. "The 5 of us are disciples of the All Beginnings Holy Land. This time, we encountered a powerful sea monster in the sea. That's why we came here. How about this? Go and prepare some food and spirit wine for us." The killing intent on the handsome man's body disappeared. However, his words carried a commanding tone. It was as though he was a high and mighty monarch and Lin Xian was only a servant. Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon immediately became displeased. "When have we ever been ordered like this?" However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. He even transmitted his voice to the Crimson Dragon, telling him not to act blindly without thinking. After all, he didn't have the confidence to kill the other party right now. "Okay, I'll go and prepare some food for you." Lin Xian's expression was calm. Then, he dragged the Crimson Dragon and the snow-white little monkey and walked toward the forest. Looking at the backs of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, the beautiful woman at the side asked, "Senior brother, why didn't you kill him?" "Kill him? Wouldn't that be letting him off too easily? We're all injured right now. Moreover, we've consumed too much spiritual energy. We need to rest right now. Why would we do things like cooking in our daily lives? Don't you think that taking him as a slave is a very good choice?" Right. It's indeed a very good choice. The beautiful woman also smiled. The three youths behind her also smiled and said, "Senior Brother Gua, you're truly a good strategist." Following this, light blossomed from their bodies, forming a powerful wave of heat that dried the wet clothes on their bodies. The five of them sat cross-legged around the bonfire and took out some pills from their storage rings. Soon, their bodies glowed with a translucent light, quickly healing their injuries and damaged spirit energy. Not long after, they opened their eyes and started to eat the cooked food on the fire. In the forest, the Crimson Dragon was unhappy. "Brat, why aren't you making a move? Isn't it just the All Beginnings Holy Land? If the two of us go all out, I don't believe that we can't beat the five of them." "Don't be rash. Now is not the time. The five of them are not ordinary disciples of the Holy Land. They must be elites. I'm afraid we don't have absolute confidence in winning. Let's wait." The Crimson Dragon couldn't do anything about Lin Xian's actions. Moreover, Lin Xian was right. The two of them did not have full confidence. In particular, the aura of the young man in the lead shocked them. Soon, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon killed another dozen or so monster beasts and collected a pile of spirit fruits. Lin Xian put away half of the food. Then, he took the other half and slowly walked back to the beach. By the time Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon returned, the golden barbecued meat on the fire was already gone. However, the five of them still hadn't eaten their fill. Therefore, they asked Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon to get some more. Lin Xian's expression was calm. He wasn't angry at all. On the other hand, the Crimson Dragon gnashed his teeth and coldly snorted in his heart. "Damned five bastards. Just wait. When the time comes, Bin Huang will definitely teach you a lesson." Soon, the corpses of five huge monster beasts were placed on the bonfire again. The five cultivators of the All Beginnings Holy Land sat cross-legged around the bonfire. They didn't leave any space for Lin Xian and the others. The handsome young man in the lead even said coldly, "You can go to the side and wait. We'll call you when we need you." Lin Xian frowned. However, he still nodded. Then, he and the Crimson Dragon went to a distant ancient tree and sat down cross-legged. She looked at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon sitting in the distance. The woman sneered. "Humph. As expected, he's trash. He does whatever he's told and doesn't even dare to resist? That's only natural. He's just a small loose cultivator. Before our All Beginnings Holy Land, he won't be able to cause any trouble." The several people beside her sneered disdainfully. The senior brother in the lead narrowed his eyes. "This brat has some skill. He's actually not afraid of us at all. Moreover, from the looks of it, he's concealing his cultivation." Concealing his cultivation? The woman didn't understand. Indeed, from what I've discovered, his strength is much stronger than what he's shown now. He might even be able to contend against a five-star king. The others were also surprised to hear this. They hadn't expected that Senior Brother Gua would give such a high evaluation of the other party. However, the woman curled her lips. "So what? No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat any one of us." That Senior Brother Gua nodded. "Indeed. Let him be a slave for now. When we don't need him anymore, we'll naturally deal with him." As they chatted, they didn't pay attention to Lin Xian at all. Lin Xian remained expressionless when he heard these words. However, he sneered inwardly. Originally, he didn't have any enmity with the All Beginnings Holy Land and didn't want to attack these people. However, from the looks of it, these people didn't plan on letting him off. He wasn't someone who would allow others to bully him. The reason he hadn't attacked before was because he wanted to preserve his strength. Now that the other party wanted to kill him, he naturally wouldn't sit still and wait for death. It seemed that he had to find an opportunity to make his move. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes as he thought to himself. At this time, the cultivators of the All Beginnings Holy Land in front of him started chatting again. However, this time, their topic shifted from Lin Xian to the ancient ruins. The woman complained, "What kind of damned place is this? It's actually so dangerous. Those sea monsters are too terrifying. Indeed, it'd be pretty good if even a tenth of the people who came in this time could pass through this sea of death." Senior Brother Gua's expression was grave as he spoke in a deep voice. This sea is indeed dangerous. However, what's even more dangerous is that there are actually natives here. If that's the case, it'll be even more difficult for us to obtain treasures. Senior brother, what kind of place is this ancient ruin? The woman asked. The oblique moon mystic world. It was an extremely famous place during the ancient era. However, for some unknown reason, it was sealed by someone. Until now, it has reappeared. Originally, I thought that there wouldn't be any living creatures in this ancient ruin. Who would have thought that it would be so unexpected? That's right. This mystic world is a world of its own. Not only are there people from the ancient era, but there are also extremely ferocious monstrous beasts. Chapter 1721. That's right. This mystic world is a world of its own. Not only are there people from the ancient era, but there are also extremely ferocious monstrous beasts. We must be careful. We must not fall for their tricks. While eating the golden roasted meat, the group of people quickly chatted with one another. Of course, their conversation also reached Lin Xian's ears. Slanted moon mystic world? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. This was not the first time he had heard of this place. The first time was from the natives. The second time was from the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Ruzalong, exactly what sort of place is the slanted moon mystic world? Lin Xian asked via voice transmission. It is an extraordinary place. It is a world of its own. It can be said to be a paradise on earth. Furthermore, a very powerful race lives in this place. However, this place was sealed later on. It is even rumored that it was done by a great emperor. Since then, the slanted moon mystic world disappeared. Never would I have expected that it would reappear now. A great emperor? Lin Xian was extremely shocked upon hearing those words. Which great emperor? Who did it? Lin Xian asked again. I don't know. After all, it is only an ancient legend. It might not necessarily be true. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. On the other side, the golden roasted meat was completely eaten by the 5 people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. This was no ordinary meat. It contained enormous power. Thus, the 5 of them sat down cross-legged and began to operate their cultivation techniques. They consumed the energy contained in the roasted meat to recover their cultivation. Half a day later, the 5 of them opened their eyes. Soon after, the leading youth, Guochuanfei, stood up. His eyes were shining brightly. Beside him, the beautiful woman, Wang Yu, also revealed a smile. We've more or less recovered. Let's set off, Guochuanfei said in a deep voice. Soon after, the others also nodded their heads. Among them, the round-faced fatty pointed at Lin Xian and said, Get up and follow us. Okay. Lin Xian nodded his head slightly. He had a calm expression on his face. However, he had already made up his mind. He was going to take care of these 5 people in this forest. However, he still had to find an opportunity to make his move. These people from the All Beginnings Holy Land naturally didn't know what Lin Xian was thinking. Furthermore, they did not think that a mere rogue cultivator would dare to attack the 5 of them. Therefore, they did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. Instead, they carefully sized up the forest in front of them. The forest ahead was dense and ancient trees towered into the sky. It was a primitive scene. Furthermore, roars could be heard from the dense forest from time to time. Among them, some of the voices were extremely terrifying, bringing with them a monstrous demonic aura. With a single glance, one could tell that they were released by powerful demonic kings. Be careful. This primeval forest is not to be underestimated, Guochuanfei said to those behind him. Don't worry, senior brother Guo. Wang Yu and the others nodded. After that, the group set off towards the primeval forest. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon followed behind. However, they still underestimated this primeval forest. That was because not long after they entered, they discovered an enormous skeleton ahead. There were still remnants of blood and flesh on the skeleton. It was clear that the corpse of this powerful demonic king had just been killed. From the remnant aura on the skeleton, Guochuanfei and the others could clearly sense that this was an extremely powerful demonic king. However, it had still been killed. Not even its corpse was left behind. From this, One could imagine that the one who had killed it was an even more terrifying existence. This caused the expressions of the All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators to become extremely unsightly. As for Lin Xian, he was also extremely shocked. It seemed that this primeval forest was much more dangerous than he had imagined. Following that, everyone's eyelids jumped wildly. That was because they discovered those enormous skeletons from time to time. Those skeletons were all at the demonic king level. They were extremely terrifying. In fact, Lin Xian and the others even discovered that there were huge footprints around the corpses. It was clear that those footprints were left behind by some extremely terrifying life form. From the looks of it, it seems to be a human. Could it be an ancient giant? Wang Yu's complexion turned slightly pale. Guo Chuanfei's expression was also unsightly. He said in a deep voice, "All of you, be careful." The three cultivators behind him also nodded their heads. Their palms were somewhat cold. Lin Xian was also secretly circulating his spiritual energy. He was prepared to take action at any moment. However, gradually, the complexions of the All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators darkened. That was because they discovered that the further they went, the more frequent those huge footprints became. It was clear that they had entered the lair of a terrifying demonic beast. There was no need to think about it. That terrifying demonic beast was definitely in the vicinity. As soon as they thought of this, the few of them couldn't help but want to flee. Judging from the current situation, that demonic king was definitely incomparably terrifying. It wasn't an existence that they could contend against. "You, go and scout ahead." In the end, the round-faced fatty tossed Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon to the front so that they could scout ahead. This way, if there was any danger, they would be able to quickly escape. As for the safety of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, they didn't care about it at all. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were walking at the front. The two of them sneered in their hearts. It would appear that the other party was no longer concealing their evil intentions. Since that was the case, there was nothing more to say. They had to quickly find an opportunity to kill those people. Otherwise, if they really entered the lair of that demonic beast, it would be very difficult for them to deal with it. Gradually, the sky darkened. The dense forest and the surroundings also became eerie. It could even be said that the demonic aura was overflowing. At this time, it was no longer suitable to travel. The reason for that was because some powerful demonic beasts would appear from time to time during the night. Because of that, Guo Chuanfei and the others decided to find a place to rest. Fortunately, there were many mountains in the forest. The few of them chose a decent mountain top and constructed an enormous cave for them to rest in for the time being. They even set up a spirit formation in the surroundings to prevent demonic beasts from entering. Guo Chuanfei's group of 5 sat cross-legged in the cave to rest. However, they left Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon outside, because in their eyes, the two of them were slaves. Of course, they didn't deserve to live with them. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. He couldn't help but want to attack. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy, but he quickly transmitted his voice. "Don't worry. Find the right time and kill them in one strike." After midnight, the surroundings of the cave were gloomy. There was only a flickering bonfire in the cave. Inside the cave, Guo Chuanfei's group of 5 had already sat cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon didn't cultivate. The two of them keenly sensed that there was a dull aura slowly gathering. This aura was very oppressive. Even Lin Xian felt extremely uncomfortable. "Damn it, what the hell is going on?" The Crimson Dragon also whispered. As a member of the Dragon Clan, even he felt a trace of panic. Therefore, the two of them didn't dare to cultivate at all. They knew that something terrible was going to happen in the second half of the night. Chapter 1722. Roar. Sure enough, before long, a roar was heard. Like a sudden clap of thunder, it tore through the tranquil night sky. Not only that, but this roar was also extremely terrifying. Moreover, it was very close to Lin Xian and the others. Thus, Lin Xian and the others received a very strong impact. The sound wave tore through the void, carrying with it a powerful monstrous aura that filled the air. Strong winds swept through the world. Terrifying energy surged forth, and collided with the surrounding formations. Buzz, buzz. The formations in the surroundings instantly lit up to resist the attack. However, they were unable to block it. Like paper, they were instantly torn apart. Whoosh! Without the defenses of the formations, the berserk energy instantly attacked Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon quickly retreated. At the same time, their bodies lit up to defend themselves. However, the two of them did not use their full strength. This was because they could not reveal their true strength in front of the All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators. Otherwise, they would be in a very passive position in the battle. Thus, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon appeared to be at a loss as they quickly retreated to the entrance of the cave. At this time, 5 figures instantly appeared in the cave like lightning. Their bodies shone with light and emitted powerful auras that formed an energy barrier that resisted the surrounding wind energy. What the hell is this? The 5 of them looked at their surroundings with unsightly expressions. Senior brother. The beautiful woman, Wang Yu, also had a pale complexion. Guo Chuanfei's expression was grave. His gaze was like lightning that pierced through the void as he looked ahead. In the distance, the world was in turmoil. Boundless spiritual energy surged and monstrous aura soared into the sky. It was as if a peerless beast had been born. Moreover, countless dark clouds had gathered in the sky at an unknown time. They were pitch black like 100,000 great mountains. Boom! Suddenly, a silver lightning bolt as thick as a water bucket struck down from the dark clouds. That lightning bolt was extremely terrifying. It was like a silver dragon that roared as it descended, instantly illuminating the entire sky. At the same time, it also illuminated the beast below. Lin Xian and the others quickly looked over. Then, they sucked in a breath of cold air. There was a mountain-like figure in front of them. Its entire body was golden. It was a golden divine ape with 6 arms. At this moment, it was facing the sky and roaring. He let out a roar that was as loud as a flash flood. The terrifying sound waves were like a tidal wave, accompanied by the 6 arms waving in the air, resisting the silver lightning falling from the sky. Boom! This scene was simply too terrifying. Even Guo Chuanfei and the other martial artists from the All Beginnings Holy Land were shocked. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect that the fierce beast nearby was actually a 6-armed divine ape. This was a type of ancient mutated beast. It was extremely terrifying. However, he wasn't in the mood to care about this at the moment. This was because Lin Xian realized that this was the perfect opportunity to strike. Therefore, in the next moment, without any hesitation, he quickly transmitted his voice to the Crimson Dragon. Then, the energy in his body burst out instantly. Puff! In an instant, he pulled out the 9-held devil sword and drew a black sword light in the air, quickly stabbing towards Guo Chuanfei. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon waved its claws and enveloped the other 3 martial artists. Puff! Lin Xian didn't hold back at all. This sword strike was too powerful, and it was so sudden that Guo Chuanfei didn't expect it at all. An ant in his eyes had actually attacked him. Therefore, he hadn't been on guard before. Moreover, the 6-armed divine ape was resisting the 9 heavens divine lightning, erupting with terrifying energy that swept out in all directions. As a result, he didn't pay attention to his surroundings. There was only a ball of energy around his body that resisted the storm. However, this ball of energy seemed incomparably weak at this moment. In an instant, the ball of energy was broken apart by the 9-held devil sword. Then, the sharp edge of the sword stabbed into his back. Puff! Blood spurted out. However, as a martial artist from the All Beginnings Holy Land, Guo Chuanfei was exceptionally strong. Therefore, he was able to discover something amiss at the last moment. At this moment of crisis, he forcefully moved his body to the side, narrowly dodging the attack that was aimed at his vitals. However, the sword still managed to pierce through him. After Lin Xian succeeded, he didn't stop. An incomparably terrifying berserk aura erupted from his body. His left fist was like a black dragon as it ruthlessly smashed towards his opponent. "You're courting death." Guo Chuanfei was furious. He endured the pain and frantically turned around. He hadn't expected that an ant would actually dare to attack him. However, he didn't have time to think about it. A black fist carrying the shadow of a huge black dragon was rapidly smashing into his body. Bang! In the next instant, he was sent flying. Most of the bones in his body were broken. On the other side, the sound of an intense collision could be heard. It turned out that the Crimson Dragon's dragon claw had ruthlessly smashed into the bodies of 3 other martial artists. Immediately, an earth-shaking tremor was created. However, this tremor was insignificant in such a berserk environment. The 3 martial artists were also sent flying. 2 of them were injured, and the last one was pierced through by the dragon claw. What? When the woman, Wang Yu, saw this scene, she was dumbfounded. She hadn't expected that the 2 martial artists would dare to attack. Moreover, their sneak attack had succeeded. Her senior brother and her companions were severely injured in an instant. Brat, you are courting death. The other 2 martial artists had sinister expressions. As for Guo Chuanfei, he was covered in blood. He seemed like a demon as he emitted an incomparably terrifying killing intent. You dare attack me? Even now, he didn't dare to believe that the other party would dare to attack him. How could an insignificant loose cultivator dare to attack the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land? However, the other party had really attacked him. Not only that, but his sneak attack had succeeded. Not only had he seriously injured him, but he had also killed a martial artist. So what if I attack you? Don't think that I don't know what you were thinking. Didn't you want to kill the 2 of us? It's just that the 2 of us attacked first. Lin Xian didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. He had already sensed the sinister intentions of these 5 people. Thus, he naturally wouldn't show any mercy when he attacked. Kill. Guo Chuanfei didn't speak any nonsense. Right now, he could only survive by killing the other party. Thus, he immediately circulated his cultivation technique and rapidly healed his wounds. Then, he swallowed some healing pills. Now that his life was at stake, he couldn't care less about holding back. In the next instant, an incomparably terrifying radiance erupted from his body. Then, like a demon, he charged at Lin Xian. On the other side, Wang Yu and the other 2 martial artists also roared and charged at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Brat, you dare to injure my senior brother? Die for me! Wang Yu shouted. Her entire face was filled with killing intent. Her body shone brightly as she held a sword in her hand. Then, she quickly stabbed it at Lin Xian. This sword was like a flood dragon emerging from the water. It was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He didn't dodge at all. Instead, he waved the 9 nether demonic sword in his hand and slashed forward. Pong! The 2 swords collided, causing heaven and earth to shake. However, the sword in Wang Yu's hand was directly cut in half. What? This is impossible. Wang Yu was stunned. She didn't expect the demonic sword in the other party's hand to be so sharp. However, in the next instant, she screamed. Chapter 1723. Wang Yu was dumbfounded. She didn't expect the demonic sword in her opponent's hand to be so sharp. But in the next moment, she screamed. That was because the 9 underworld demonic sword didn't stop. Instead, it pierced toward her with countless sharp sword energies. Primal Chaos Shield. At this critical moment, Wang Yu shouted. Light blossomed from her body, forming a simple shield of light in front of her. This was indeed a lost technique. However, she couldn't block it at all. Firstly, Lin Xian's strength had completely surpassed hers. Secondly, Lin Xian wasn't holding back at all. Wang Yu couldn't contend against such battle prowess. Therefore, in the next moment, the shield of light shattered. Not only that, but Wang Yu was also pierced by the sword. The terrifying sword energies carried her body and nailed her to the mountain peak on the opposite side. Junior sister. Seeing this scene, Guo Chuanfei roared crazily. He didn't hold back anymore and charged toward Lin Xian. On the other side, the 2 All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators were blocked by the Crimson Dragon. Guo Chuanfei's expression was malevolent and murderous. He spread open his 5 fingers, and 5 divine rainbows flew out from his fingertips. The void was instantly pierced through. The 5 divine rainbows emitted powerful killing intent as they rushed toward Lin Xian. These divine rainbows were comparable to divine weapons. However, Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. If you were in your peak condition, you might be able to fight against me. But now, you're seriously injured. You're no match for me. As he spoke, he brandished the 9 underworld demonic sword. The black demonic sword emitted a jet-black radiance. It looked like a sword from hell. It contained an astonishing amount of power. Offensive saint technique. At this moment, Lin Xian was displaying it to the extreme. Its battle prowess was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, with a single sword strike, he was able to sever the 5 divine rainbows. Not only that, but the terrifying sword light also enveloped Guo Chuanfei. Being enveloped by the black sword light, Guo Chuanfei felt his hair stand on end. This was too shocking. His opponent was just an ant. Yet, he actually possessed this kind of battle prowess. This surprised him. From the looks of it, even if his opponent hadn't launched a sneak attack and he wasn't seriously injured, this battle would have been extremely dangerous. Thinking of this, Guo Chuanfei's face became terrifyingly gloomy. He knew that he had to attack with all his might. He couldn't let the other party escape. Otherwise, it would be an endless disaster. Therefore, in the next moment, he endured the pain and pushed his strength to the limit. Boom! All the bones in his body emitted crackling sounds as they were repaired in an instant. Clearly, Guo Chuanfei had used some kind of secret technique. However, the sword wound on his body had not completely healed. Because this was the power of the great dragon sword spirit, it was abnormally sharp and no one could heal it in a short period of time. However, Guo Chuanfei couldn't care less about that. Even though he was still bleeding, he had to attack with all his might. A palm stretched out. The light on it was like a scorching sun as it pressed towards the void. Boom! Immediately, the void trembled and emitted a boundless amount of chaotic energy. It formed a wanton radiance that was incomparably hazy and laid horizontally in front of him. Clang! Clang! The black sword chi that filled the sky collided with the chaotic chi, creating an earth-shattering sound. The chaotic chi was very impressive. It did not immediately shatter. This was a powerful technique of the All Beginnings Holy Land. The All Beginnings Holy Land. Just from its name, one could tell that it was very domineering. Since it dared to use the word 10,000 beginnings, it was enough to prove its strength. Mr. Primal Chaos had yet to appear. Thus, the All Beginnings Holy Land cultivated the Primal Chaos technique. This cultivation technique was incomparably mysterious and abnormally powerful. Now that Guo Chuanfei used it, it had a different kind of might. Seeing that he had blocked the black sword chi, Guo Chuanfei breathed out a sigh of relief. Then, he waved his hands and sent out even more chaotic chi. The chaotic chi formed a simple and unadorned picture scroll that revolved around him. Brat, die for me. This simple and unadorned picture scroll emitted the power of a domain. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it enveloped the entire space. Not only that, but countless strands of chaotic chi also fell down. They turned into sharp rays of light that pierced towards Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian frowned and coldly snorted. He used Heavenly Dragon 8 steps. His entire body was like a flickering shadow as he rapidly dodged. Humph! It's useless. You can't dodge my chaotic chi. Guo Chuanfei sneered. This was because the chaotic chi had combined with his domain to form a powerful technique. His opponent was just a small loose cultivator. How could he possibly block it? Sure enough, the chaotic chi was like a poisonous snake that chased after him. It pierced through Lin Xian's afterimages one after another. As for Lin Xian, he coldly snorted when he heard his opponent's words. An arrow at the end of its flight. You can't even withstand a single blow. Watch how I break you. In the next moment, he stopped dodging. A blue domain rapidly appeared around his body, emitting a monstrous aura. As for the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand, it shone with boundless radiance. Boom! With a slash of his sword, the void in all directions was slashed open by him. This black sword chi was like a black nether river as it quickly slashed forward. The sword chi crisscrossed, and a terrifying killing intent filled the wilderness. Guo Chuanfei felt the sharpness of this sword qi, and his heart turned cold. He didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly recalled the chaotic qi and used it to block in front of him. Clang! In the next moment, the black sword qi slashed on the chaotic qi. However, what made Guo Chuanfei's scalp go numb was that his chaotic qi couldn't block it at all this time and was directly cut in half. No! Guo Chuanfei vomited blood and flew backward. He really didn't dare to imagine that his opponent's combat strength had reached such a level. That was his ultimate move, but it was actually split in half by a sword. He had to admit that it was indeed terrifying. However, Lin Xian didn't stop at all. He carried the dragon sword domain and instantly chased after him like a flash of light. He knew that his opponent was a terrifying opponent, and the reason why he was able to severely injure his opponent so quickly was because he had taken him by surprise. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy to defeat his opponent. Because without mentioning anything else, just the chaotic qi alone was enough to give him a headache. Therefore, he wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Whoosh! In the next moment, his figure flashed like lightning and appeared in front of Guo Chuanfei. The sword light on his body soared into the sky. Lin Xian was like a killing god at all times. Meanwhile, Guo Chuanfei was lying on the ground. His hair was disheveled and his body was covered in blood. In a sorry state, he was in a sorry state. Previously, he was high and mighty like an emperor, mercilessly commanding Lin Xian and not taking him seriously at all. However, he didn't expect that in just one day, the status of both sides had changed drastically. The powerful combat strength displayed by his opponent shocked him. As for himself, he was seriously injured and was about to be killed. Damn it! Who are you? Guo Chuanfei stared at Lin Xian and roared crazily. That was because he really couldn't believe that a small rogue cultivator could have such powerful combat strength. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Who I am is not important. What's important is that it's all over. The Nine Darkness demonic sword in his hand emitted a cold light, then stabbed forward. Chapter 1724. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Who I am isn't important. What's important is that everything is over. The Nine Underworld demonic sword in his hand emitted an ice-cold radiance as it pierced forward. Ha 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 ha. You want to kill me, Guo Chuanfei? Dream on. Brat, let's perish together. As Guo Chuanfei spoke, a crazed expression appeared on his face. Then, the radiance on his body grew brighter and brighter as the primal chaos picture wrapped around his body. Not good. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He rapidly retreated as he executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps to the limit. At the same time, the storm war boots on his feet started to shine brightly. Whoosh! Like a sword ray, he rapidly retreated. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon's palm pierced through a disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Then, he also rapidly retreated. At this moment, the storm cloak on his body shone brightly. His entire body was like a red lightning bolt. As for the other surviving All Beginnings Holy Land disciple, he couldn't care less about him. That was because Guo Chuanfei had self-detonated. The self-detonation of a king, a 5-star king at that, was extremely terrifying. For a time, an incomparably terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. Although Guo Chuanfei was only a 5-star king, he was a cultivator of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Moreover, he was an elite. His battle power was even more terrifying than ordinary 6-star kings. Therefore, the might of the explosion was extremely shocking. No, the other surviving All Beginnings Holy Land disciple roared crazily when he saw this scene. He immediately fled into the distance. However, he wasn't fast enough. In an instant, he was engulfed by the terrifying energy storm. Although Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had grasped Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and were extremely fast, they were still affected by the energy storm. However, they were still struck by the energy storm. The two of them quickly activated their king domains to resist the energy storm. The two of them were like sailboats in a storm that could capsize at any moment. However, they managed to resist it in the end. Whoosh! Lin Xian's complexion turned extremely ugly as he looked at the pitch-black crater in the forest before him. He had been too careless this time. Previously, he had killed the disciples of the All-Beginnings Holy Land. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Perhaps the hierarchy in the Holy Land was even more detailed than in Danzong. The disciples of the Holy Land that he had killed before were probably the most ordinary disciples. Even so, he was still more powerful than the top elites of the three affiliated sects such as Danzong. And someone like Guo Chuanfei should be one of the more powerful ones in the Holy Land. Their strength was incomparably terrifying. They could even contend against ordinary 6 Star Kings. Therefore, such people had to be guarded against. Guo Chuanfei's self-destruction created a terrifying explosion of energy that affected both Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Therefore, the two of them quickly flew away from this area. They came to a safe place, sat down cross-legged, and quickly recovered their strength. Lin Xian didn't even hesitate to consume elixirs and supreme-grade substandard divine crystals, because his heart was beating wildly, and he had an extremely bad premonition. Sure enough, it didn't take long for a murderous aura to come from the rear left. It turned into a cross-shaped sword wave and rushed over quickly. Boom! Lin Xian waved his hand and shot out a large amount of energy that collided with the murderous aura. Then, he suddenly turned around and looked behind him. In the forest behind him, a figure quickly appeared. Her figure was enchanting and had a seductive aura that made one's blood boil. "It's you." Lin Xian frowned when he saw the other party. This woman was none other than the half-demon woman who had sneak-attacked him before. He didn't expect her to appear again. Moreover, the timing was too good. It happened right after he had a great battle with someone. Could it be that she had been following him? Thinking of this, Lin Xian's face darkened. The art of longevity in his body quickly circulated and digested the energy of the healing elixirs. "Yes, it's me." The beautiful woman sneered. "I told you that I would come back for you. Why are you looking for me? Could it be that you can't bear to part with me?" Lin Xian smiled slightly, but he was secretly speeding up his recovery. "Indeed, I can't bear to part with you. Your vitality is so strong, and you're the best choice for a cauldron. If I can absorb your energy, my cultivation will definitely rise to another level. Moreover, you dared to kill someone from the Demon King Palace. No matter what, I can't let you go. Why bother?" Lin Xian laughed. "Why don't you follow me and leave the Demon King Palace? I'll let you live freely for the rest of your life. You want me to leave the Demon King Palace with just you? What a joke." The half-demon woman sneered. "You don't know the strength of the Demon King Palace. Moreover, you've underestimated me." The half-demon woman stared coldly at Lin Xian. "All right, cut the crap. Are you going to surrender obediently, or do you want me to break your limbs and drag you back? You sure talk big. Don't tell me you think you've got me?" Lin Xian snorted, but he didn't make a move. The half-demon woman, Zhao Tianxia, walked over step by step. "Kid, don't struggle. I know you're recovering your strength, but it's useless. I saw everything that happened just now. After being hit by that energy, you won't be able to recover in a short time. Even if you try to stall for time, it's useless." Indeed, she was hiding in the dark and saw the scene just now. When she saw Lin Xian being hit by the explosion, she decided to make a move. If it was an ordinary person, she wouldn't have done anything wrong. After all, when a cultivator was injured, their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Unfortunately, she encountered Lin Xian this time. She didn't know how powerful Lin Xian's art of longevity was. Lin Xian didn't move as he watched his opponent slowly walk over. However, he secretly mobilized the energy in his body and prepared a thunderous assistant. Sure enough, when the opponent was 10 meters away from Lin Xian, a terrifying energy suddenly erupted from Lin Xian's body. His fists danced as the apocalyptic black dragon fist rushed out. The powerful energy transformed into 2 black dragons, surging and roaring. "What?" The half-demon woman, Zhao Tianxia, narrowed her eyes. She didn't expect her opponent to be able to display such power despite being injured. However, since she had decided to make a move, why would she run away? With a shout, Light bloomed from her body, and a domain quickly appeared behind her. The 5 silver scorpion tails were like silver spears. They were extremely sharp as they pierced through the void and flew forward. Boom, boom, boom. The void was pierced through in an instant. A terrifying silver light, like the Milky Way, wrapped around the 2 black dragons. Boom. The scales on the silver scorpion tails flickered and emitted a cold light, instantly killing the 2 black dragon phantoms. The world shook as the 5 silver lights flew up again and pounced on Lin Xian. Chapter 1725. A terrifying killing intent shook the world. Oomph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. Facing the 5 silver tails, he had no fear at all. The apocalyptic black dragon fists were constantly swung around. His fists had turned into 2 black dragons, spiraling in the void and surging forward. They unleashed earth-shattering energy. Heavenly Scorpion, reappear! On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also shouted, and the silver domain behind her shone even brighter. Then, a huge silver body appeared in the void. It was a huge scorpion. Its body was silver and emitted a cold light. Waves of energy surged out of its body, shaking the entire space. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if a real ancient demon beast had crossed time and space and appeared in the sky. In the next instant, the enormous silver body swayed, and the terrifying scorpion tail and 2 silver pincers rapidly descended. Boom, boom, boom. Silver light crisscrossed, illuminating the entire space and colliding with the black fist shadows in the sky. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if 10,000 mountains were colliding in the sky. Large swathes of forests collapsed, the earth caved in, and terrifying cracks appeared in the void. In the end, Lin Xian let out a long cry and unleashed his ultimate technique. 2 pitch-black dragon claws appeared on his palms, and he waved them forcefully. Suddenly, the entire space cracked open. The silver light that filled the sky disappeared. Damn, brat. You actually have such powerful strength. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia's face was solemn. Unexpected. It was too unexpected. She had expected the other party to be severely injured and unable to exert much strength. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Her opponent's strength was too strong. There was no difference at all from before he was injured. That berserk and destructive aura made her extremely fearful. But how was this possible? No one could withstand that kind of impact, but fortunately, he was unharmed. Therefore, she concluded that Lin Xian must be injured. But how could he still display such terrifying strength when he was injured? Zhao Tianxia could not understand at all. But in the end, she coldly snorted. Brat, I don't know what secret technique you use to forcibly recover your strength, but thinking about it, this secret technique won't last for long. Therefore, the final victor will be me. As for you, you will become my slave and be sucked dry by me. On the other side, Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Indeed, the explosion just now had injured him. However, his secret art of long life was heaven-defying. That ferocious recovery ability of his had already healed more than half of his injuries. However, he did not let his guard down. That was because the half-demon woman was also extraordinarily powerful. She was probably not any weaker than Guo Chuanfei, especially since the other party had a group of bloodlines. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to go all out again. The next moment, a green light flashed behind him, and the dragon sword domain quickly appeared. A terrifying aura filled the air as Sword Chi soared into the sky. Even the void couldn't withstand it. A king's domain? Looks like you want to fight with your life on the line. My guess was right. Your secret technique won't last for long. On the other side, a cold smile appeared on Zhao Tianxia's face. Lin Xian snorted coldly when he heard the other party's words. Naturally, it wasn't that the secret technique's time was up, but that he didn't want to waste time and wanted to finish off the other party quickly. However, since the other party had misunderstood, then so be it. He wouldn't explain. As the energy in his body surged, the dragon sword domain around him became even more resplendent. There was even a low dragon's roar. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also shouted as a silver light flashed behind her. The silver domain shone brightly, and within it was an ancient sky scorpion. The silver sky scorpion carried an incomparably terrifying aura. It was like a silver mountain that crushed the void. This scene was too terrifying. The silver sky scorpion carried the bloodline of the demon race and had an unparalleled pressure. This undoubtedly made Zhao Tianxia's king's domain even more powerful. Seeing the other party's powerful domain, Lin Xian's expression turned solemn. However, in the next moment, he took a step forward. Suddenly, tens of thousands of sword qi vibrated together and let out a cry. The terrifying sword qi soared into the sky with unparalleled power. Then, Lin Xian activated the dragon sword domain and charged forward. Boom, 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 boom. The entire void collapsed. The dragon sword domain and the sky scorpion's silver domain collided, creating a sound like a tsunami. Boundless light burst forth, and terrifying energy whistled, filling every inch of the void. The entire forest was shaking, and there were even roars of demon beasts in the distance. Obviously, the battle between the two had alarmed the demon kings here. After another fierce collision, the two figures quickly retreated and pulled apart the distance between them. Lin Xian's figure was tall and straight, and his face was sharp like a knife. He looked like a god of death. Sword qi revolved around his body, and it was incomparably resplendent. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also appeared in the void. Behind her, a Silver King's domain appeared. She stood on the Sky Scorpion's shadow. As expected of the cauldron I chose, you are indeed powerful. Your vitality has even surpassed the average disciple of the sacred lands. Be my cauldron obediently, and I can spare your life. Spare my life? Lin Xian snorted. You talk big. Worry about your own safety first. You think you can kill me? On the other side, Zhao Tianxia sneered. I think your secret technique won't last for long. It will probably disappear soon. When the time comes, I'd like to see how stubborn you are. Zhao Tianxia snorted and attacked again. The battle began again. The two fought until the sky fell and the earth cracked. But gradually, Zhao Tianxia frowned, because she realized that something was wrong. After such a long time, even if there was a secret technique, its effect should have disappeared. However, not only did the other party's combat strength not weaken, it grew stronger and stronger. She couldn't believe it. Damn it! Impossible! Why is your combat strength still growing? Shouldn't it weaken? Ignorant! Lin Xian snorted and didn't answer. He waved the 9 darkness demonic sword and swept it forward. Sword qi swept out like a giant dragon, tearing the sky apart. Damn it! Impossible! This is impossible! Zhao Tianxia frantically tried to block. Did you not use a secret technique? She finally lost her composure. She couldn't take down the other party after so many moves, and she was gradually being suppressed. If the battle continued, she wouldn't be a match for the other party. At this moment, Lin Xian roared. Soon after, 3 figures rushed out of his dragon sword domain. Every illusory figure was incomparably resplendent and carried with it a shocking sword qi. Chapter 1726. In the sky, Lin Xian roared. Soon after, 3 figures rushed out of his dragon sword domain. Every illusory figure was incomparably resplendent and carried with it a shocking sword qi. Sword God Phantoms. This was Lin Xian's 6 God Sword technique. He could already condense 3 sword phantoms. These 3 sword phantoms quickly rushed out and stood in 3 directions. Together with Lin Xian, they suppressed the entire void. A special domain appeared and trapped Zhao Tianxia within. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared and attacked together with the 3 sword god phantoms. Terrifying sword qi swept out and instantly covered the entire void. This scene was simply too terrifying. The space was instantly blasted apart. As for Zhao Tianxia, he was instantly enveloped by sword qi that filled the sky. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, Zhao Tianxia was forced to retreat. His domain had been suppressed and had even become much dimmer. Not only that, when the sword qi slashed his domain, it immediately caused his qi and blood to churn. Not long after, he vomited blood and was injured. Damn it, these are clones. Zhao Tianxia looked at the sky with a shocked expression. How can clones be so strong? She really couldn't understand. That was because the three sword god phantoms were simply too powerful. Each of them shone brightly with monstrous battle intent. Their terrifying battle strength was like a vast ocean with no end. It seemed that they were not weaker than the main body. Seeing this scene, Zhao Tianxia's expression was abnormally ugly. She already couldn't beat Lin Xian alone. Now that there were three more clones, it was even more impossible for her to be a match for the other party. Moreover, the other party didn't look exhausted at all, which made her even more terrified. So at this moment, she didn't dare to fight the other party. Instead, she was thinking about how to escape, because if they continued fighting, she would definitely lose. So, she carried the silver domain and charged around, wanting to leave this space. You want to leave? Lin Xian sneered. Don't you think it's too late? He roared, and the energy in his body surged rapidly. His battle strength was even higher. Three sword god phantoms quickly rushed forward and surrounded Zhao Tianxia. As for Lin Xian's body, it was shining brightly. He brandished the apocalyptic black dragon fist and unleashed a terrifying fist technique. The world-destroying black dragon scroll was incomparably violent and unstoppable. At this moment, in Lin Xian's hands, it was even more ferocious. With a punch, the sky was filled with the shadows of dragons. Each dragon shadow was entwined with incomparably terrifying sword qi. They crushed the void and roared abnormally as they charged towards Zhao Tianxia. Pong! In the next moment, there was an earth-shattering tremor, followed by a blood-curdling scream. Blood spurted out as half of Tianxia's body was smashed. However, she did not die. Instead, she quickly retreated. A ball of red light appeared on her body. It was her demonic bloodline. In the next moment, she ignited the demonic bloodline in her body and erupted with unparalleled power. At the same time, the ancient scorpion in the king's domain opened its eyes. Suddenly, an incomparably terrifying aura spread out. The ancient sky scorpion phantom shone with boundless light. A part of it enveloped Zhao Tianxia, while the other part turned into a silver longsword and slashed forward. In an instant, a crack was torn in the void. The silver light rolled up and carried Zhao Tianxia away into the distance. Seeing this, Lin Xian coldly snorted and activated the dragon sword domain. Immediately, countless sword lights rushed out and turned into rainbows as they quickly chased after Zhao Tianxia. However, that silver light was too strange. It had awakened some kind of ancient bloodline and was incomparably terrifying. In an instant, she had escaped without a trace. She actually ran away? Lin Xian frowned when he saw this scene. After thinking for a long time, he did not chase after her. First of all, she definitely had some secret techniques in her hands. It would not be easy to kill her. Moreover, the continuous battles had consumed too much of his strength. Right now, he did not have much strength left in his body. Therefore, he should focus on recovering. After all, he still did not know how long he would have to stay in this mystic world. Therefore, in the next moment, she did not hesitate and her figure flashed and left this place. In a dense forest, the Crimson Dragon had set up a powerful array to isolate the surroundings. In front of it, Lin Xian was sitting cross-legged. Beside him, there were 6 pieces of top-grade secondary crystals arranged into a small spirit-gathering array, and he was operating the longevity art with all his strength to quickly absorb the energy. Rays of resplendent light circled around his body, like the rays of the sun. This energy was quickly repairing his body and replenishing Lin Xian's spiritual energy at the same time. Not only that, Lin Xian's longevity art was operating faster and faster, and even began to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. This was simply too incredible. One had to know that this space was a world of its own, and it was very difficult for outsiders to absorb spiritual energy. Therefore, those foreign cultivators would crazily collect other people's storage rings. They wanted to obtain enough energy to maintain their combat strength. And now, Lin Xian was actually able to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy, and the speed was much faster than before. It had to be said that this was simply too shocking. Lin Xian seemed to have noticed this as well, and the corners of his mouth suddenly curled up slightly. In the next moment, he operated the longevity art with all his strength, and the spiritual energy from all directions quickly gathered towards him. Gradually, an energy storm was formed and enveloped him. With this energy storm, Lin Xian's recovery speed was extremely fast. Not long after, he was restored to his peak state. Not only that, he absorbed with all his strength and cultivated. However, after a while, the spiritual energy storm quickly disappeared. Lin Xian opened his eyes as well, feeling as if he hadn't had enough. Then, he revealed a puzzled look. What's going on? He didn't stop cultivating, but the spirit qi was quickly receding, which surprised him. On the side, the Crimson Dragon said, "This should be a protective method to prevent people from consuming too much of the energy in the mystic world." Then, he looked at Lin Xian with a face full of surprise. "Boy, you're really surprising. You can actually absorb the energy here." To be honest, even the Crimson Dragon could not do this. Lin Xian smiled and said, "This is all thanks to the longevity art. This technique is really amazing." Indeed, the longevity art was incomparably mysterious, and it allowed Lin Xian to have a strong recovery ability. Not only that, his spiritual energy was much stronger than cultivators of the same level. Now, he could even absorb the energy in the tilted moon mystic world. Although Lin Xian did not know where the ultimate limit of the longevity art was, being able to absorb the energy here was undoubtedly good news. This gave him a bigger trump card. When the time came for battle, he would not have to worry too much. Without any worries for the time being, Lin Xian was completely at ease. He planned to carefully explore this primeval forest. At the very least, he had to figure out what was here. Chapter 1727. Soon, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon set off. The two of them walked carefully in the forest. Lin Xian used his soul power to observe the surroundings to avoid the powerful monster kings. He knew that he could not be careless in this forest. There were probably many terrifying monsters hibernating here. For example, the six-armed ape that they met the other night was absolutely terrifying. Even a mighty figure might not be able to fight against it. If he encountered it, there was no way he could survive. The two of them walked for a day and entered the inner part of the forest. Along the way, the two of them were very careful and were not discovered by the powerful monster kings. However, at this moment, there was a sudden roar that shook heaven and earth. The sound was very shocking and carried a monstrous aura. Hearing this sound, Lin Xian's scalp went numb and he prepared to take a detour. However, at this moment, a few more roars came from the front. Then, a violent energy aura surged. Sensing these auras, Lin Xian stopped in his tracks with a bewildered look on his face. Someone is fighting? Moreover, these auras did not belong to humans. Could it be monsters? Lin Xian was stunned. He did not expect to encounter such a thing. At the side, the Crimson Dragon was also a little excited. "Kid, should we go and take a look? There are so many monsters fighting. I'm afraid there's a reason. Maybe it's for treasures." It was possible. They walked in the forest for a few days and did not find any treasures. Perhaps the monsters in front of them were really fighting for some kind of treasure. The two of them walked forward carefully. However, when they arrived at the scene, they were stunned. Because the battle in front of them had already ended. The surroundings were a mess. Monster aura filled the air and blood flowed like a river on the ground. The pungent smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon stepped on broken trees and cracked ground and walked forward carefully. They found a few huge corpses in front of them. Each of them was at the Monster King level and was extremely terrifying. At this moment, their bodies were cut open and blood and internal organs flowed all over the ground. Evidently, he had been killed. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and Lin Xian were extremely shocked. Even such a powerful Yao King was killed. It seemed like there was another terrifying existence. The two of them didn't dare to stay any longer and wanted to leave. However, at this moment, a figure walked out from the cave ahead. It was a black bear with a single horn on its head. It looked extremely ferocious. On its body, its black fur flickered with a jet-black light, flowing with a strange energy. Especially the horn on his forehead. It was like a black jade, sparkling and translucent. The energy contained within it was even more terrifying. Compared to the surrounding demonic beasts, he was not very big, only 3 meters tall. But at this moment, he was emitting an incomparably horrifying supreme aura. The Black Bear Demon King was walking out of the cave. But in the next moment, it stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, its eyes emitting a fierce light. Lin Xian had goosebumps all over his body when he was being stared at like that. He sensed danger. According to his original plan, he should have retreated by now. However, in the next moment, he frowned, because he discovered that although the black bear was powerful, there was a terrifying crack on the left side of its back. Although the blood had coagulated, the crack was still very eye-catching. It was obvious that it was injured in the battle just now, and it seemed that the injury was not light. Otherwise, with this demonic beast's ferocious personality, it would have pounced on them immediately. It would not have issued a warning here. Perhaps there was a chance. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The Crimson Dragon also waved its dragon claws excitedly. "Kid, do you want to make a move? That Black Bear King is injured." "Let's do it." Lin Xian nodded. He was not willing to give up this opportunity. That was because he felt a strange energy in the cave. It should be some kind of treasure. In the next moment, Lin Xian's expression was solemn as he took out the 10,000 bee sting. The Crimson Dragon's body glowed red as it prepared to attack. Roar! Seeing that Lin Xian and Lin Xian were about to attack, the black bear in front of them roared angrily. Its murderous aura instantly spread out. As a demonic beast king, and an extremely powerful one at that, it would not allow humans to provoke it. Therefore, in the next moment, it roared angrily and turned into a ray of black light, charging towards Lin Xian. However, halfway through, the black bear's body suddenly stiffened. That was because the wound on its back had split open again. Blood gushed out, and even the eerie white bones were exposed. Roar! The black bear roared in pain. This is a good chance. Lin Xian seized the opportunity and activated the 10,000 bee sting in his hand. Suddenly, the 10,000 bee sting released a ray of black light that flew forward. Boom! This ray of black light was like a black divine spear. It was extremely sharp. In an instant, it pierced through the black bear, leaving a fist-sized wound on its body. Roar! The black bear was injured again, and its entire body became extremely frenzied. Its murderous aura soared to the sky, and its demonic aura turned into smoke that quickly surged into the sky. However, at the same time, a crimson dragon tail, like a heavenly pillar, lashed out from the void. Boom! The black bear's body trembled, and he was sent flying. That was because the crimson dragon tail had sent him flying. It was obvious that this was the crimson dragon's attack. Roar! Roar! After receiving 2 extremely powerful attacks in an instant, the black bear's already injured body became even more fragile. At that moment, its body was covered in blood, and it had become extremely frenzied. However, its ferocious nature had been stimulated. Instead of running away, it quickly pounced towards Lin Xian. Boom! In an instant, it was in front of Lin Xian, and its terrifying black bear paw quickly slapped down. In an instant, a pitch-black hole was formed in the void. This attack was too violent. Even though the black bear was injured, it was still extremely terrifying. Buzz! Lin Xian did not want to take it head-on. He used the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and turned into an afterimage, dodging the attack in an instant. At the same time, his paw kept slapping the 10,000 bee sting. Buzz! 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 The 10,000 bee sting vibrated rapidly, and pitch-black figures kept moving around on it. Then, a black heavenly rock rushed out and flew towards the black bear. The feathers that filled the sky turned into black sword aura. The black sword aura was extremely sharp, and it quickly slashed downwards. The black bear waved its paw and unleashed a wave of energy that could topple mountains and overturn seas. It directly shattered the black sword aura that filled the sky. However, in the process, it suffered 2 more dragon claws on its back. Suddenly, its huge body shook continuously, as if it would collapse at any time. Roar! The black bear's eyes turned blood red. Then, it opened its bloody mouth and roared behind it. A sound wave rippled out, carrying a strange energy that surged towards the crimson divine dragon. The sound wave was too terrifying. It was even sharper than the heavenly blade. Moreover, the sound wave could be stacked. Therefore, when it came close to the crimson dragon, the sound wave was still extremely powerful. Chapter 1728. Roar. The crimson dragon's body glowed as its dragon blood surged. In the next moment, it roared as well. An earth-shattering dragon roar rang out, carrying with it an unparalleled pressure as it fought against the Black Bear King's sound waves. Although the Crimson Dragon's cultivation was not as strong as the Black Bear King's, the power of its bloodline far surpassed the Black Bear King's. Therefore, when the two sound waves collided, they were actually evenly matched. The sky surged as countless black cracks appeared. The two terrifying sound waves disappeared at the same time. However, at this moment, Lin Xian leaped high into the air. The 10,000 beast sting in his hand emitted an even brighter light. A strange energy wave was emitted from the 10,000 beast sting. It quickly surged forward and enveloped the Black Bear King. The mysterious light was incomparably dark, as if it was going to suppress the Black Bear King. Roar. At this critical moment, the Black Bear King's hair stood on end. It let out an earth-shattering roar. Then, the horn on its forehead suddenly emitted light. The horn was originally jade-black in color. At this moment, mysterious patterns appeared on it. A terrifying aura instantly surged out. Whoosh! For a moment, the surrounding wind howled and dark clouds covered the sky. The scene was extremely terrifying. Then, a ray of light surged out from the horn. It directly pierced through the void and turned into an eternal ray of light. This ray of light was really too terrifying. It directly tore apart the attack of the 10,000 beast sting and quickly blasted towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as his body swayed. He held the 10,000 beast sting in one hand and clenched his other hand into a fist. He directly punched out. A black dragon roared, carrying with it a black light that shook the heavens and earth. While on the other side, the 10,000 beast sting was spinning even faster. Then, it suddenly grew in size like a black mountain, pressing down on the ground. Clang! In the next moment, it collided with the black light emitted by the horn, producing an earth-shattering sound. The void trembled, and a terrifying light burst forth. However, the 10,000 beast sting was an Earth-rank mid-grade artifact. It was too terrifying. It directly shattered all the attacks. The void instantly returned to calm. The 10,000 beast sting was still pressing down on the Black Bear King quickly. The Black Bear King's expression finally changed as he let out a terrified cry. However, he found that he could barely move his body. There was a mysterious power in the void that had completely shackled him. At this moment, his eyes finally revealed a look of fear. One had to know that it was no ordinary demon king. Its strength was extremely terrifying. So many demon kings joined forces, and they were unable to kill it. But now, this little human in front of him was a threat. Boom. The Black Bear King was Black Bear King was completely. The ground sank, and the air billowed. The surrounding forest collapsed in an instant. In fact, even the mountain peak in the distance was blasted apart by this burst of energy. Ding Linz's demon king. He waved his hand and put away the 10,000 beast sting. The Black Bear King was indeed a very powerful demon king. Fortunately, it was heavily injured before. Otherwise, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon would not have been able to kill it so easily. Lin Xian summoned the Black Earth and put away the corpses of these demon kings. When these demonic beasts reached the demonic king level, it could be said that their entire bodies were treasures. Their flesh and blood contained powerful energy. Their scales and fur could be made into weapons and armor. There were also demon cores in their bodies, which were their energy essence and contained powerful energy. These were all very precious. After collecting all the demon king's corpses, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon looked ahead. There was a cave there. Lin Xian had already checked the Black Bear King's body and did not find any treasures. It seemed that the Black Bear King had not obtained anything from the cave yet. Therefore, he guessed that the treasure must be in the cave. Thinking of this, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon did not hesitate and walked forward. The cave was dark, but Lin Xian's light was enough to illuminate the entire cave. In front of him, there were countless gravel. Among the gravel, there was a ray of light. It was very bright and could be seen at a glance. Lin Xian waved his sleeve and blew away all the gravel. Then, the ray of light appeared in front of him. Seeing that thing, Lin Xian was stunned. The Crimson Dragon screamed, "Dragon crystal! Boy, this is a dragon crystal! Ha 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 ha! We're rich!" The dark red divine dragon was like an old monster, roaring crazily. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect to find a dragon crystal here. A dragon crystal was a type of crystal energy. Its value was equivalent to a divinity crystal, or even higher. One had to know that there were spirit veins in the world that would form ordinary subdivinity crystals and supreme-grade subdivinity crystals. They would even form divinity crystals. In addition to spirit veins, there were also dragon veins. That was something even more terrifying than spirit veins. Dragon veins naturally formed dragon crystals, which were even rarer than divinity crystals. Some of those powerful seeker spirit masters could cut out divinity crystals, but very few could cut out dragon crystals, because they were too precious and too rare. Lin Xian did not expect to find a dragon crystal here. It was indeed shocking. That dragon crystal was as big as a fist and shone with incomparably bright light. Every strand of it contained a powerful energy. Those lights were like divine clouds, illuminating the entire void. Good stuff. Lin Xian's heart was also beating wildly. With a wave of his hand, he held the dragon crystal in his hand. Presumably, the demon kings outside were fighting over this dragon crystal. "We can't stay here for long. Let's hurry up and leave," Lin Xian said quickly. The Crimson Dragon nodded. He knew that the tremors here had already alarmed the other monster kings in the forest. It would not be long before those powerful monster kings arrived. One or two of them would be fine, but if there were a few more, they would not be able to leave at all. Therefore, the two of them did not hesitate and quickly moved and left this place. Sure enough, not long after they left, a few huge figures appeared nearby again. Each of them was incomparably terrifying. Their killing intent was monstrous, stirring up the wind and clouds. In the end, even the six-armed ape from that day appeared. With a stomp of its golden feet, the entire ground trembled. Countless birds quickly soared into the sky. The surrounding wild beasts trembled and all fell to the ground. Even though Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had left for a long time, they could still vaguely hear the angry roars. Exciting. It was too exciting. If they were any later, they would not be able to leave at all. They might not even be able to obtain this incomparably precious dragon crystal. This thing must not be known to others. Otherwise, it would attract endless disaster. Therefore, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon planned to absorb it first. After finding a relatively remote mountain range, Lin Xian used his sword qi to open a cave abode. Then, the Crimson Dragon set up several formations and directly covered the entire cave abode. In the next moment, Lin Xian took out the fist-sized dragon crystal. Chapter 1729. After finding a relatively remote mountain range, Lin Xian used his sword qi to open up a cave abode. Then, the Crimson Dragon set up several formations and covered the entire cave abode. In the next moment, Lin Xian took out the fist-sized dragon crystal. He placed the dragon crystal on the ground. Then, the Crimson Dragon began to set up a spirit-gathering formation. Through the formation, the dragon crystal's power was transferred to the two of them. In this way, it could speed up their absorption. Soon, the dragon crystal emitted a bright light, forming rays of light that surrounded Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. If someone saw this scene, they would go crazy. This was a rare treasure. Everyone would go crazy. Even Almighties would be no exception. But now, this thing belonged to Lin Xian. Feeling the rich power around him, Lin Xian did not hesitate. He quickly used the longevity chant to absorb the energy inside. The rays of light in the sky seemed to be attracted and rushed into Lin Xian's body. For a time, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon both entered a state of cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a night had passed. The fist-sized dragon crystal had shrunk by half. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's bodies were completely enveloped by the bright rays of light. They were like two jade cocoons, emitting a hazy light. Another 3 days passed. The entire cave abode was surrounded by rays of light, and the dragon crystal was still the size of a walnut. At the side, the Crimson Dragon opened his eyes, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. He had successfully recovered to a 4-star king. Therefore, he did not absorb any more energy. Instead, his body swayed and he retreated. On the other side, Lin Xian was still cultivating. The light on his body became more and more vigorous, and his aura became more and more powerful. However, he was still a 3-star king and did not break through. After another 2 days, the dragon crystal became the size of a fingernail, and its light became extremely dim. Most of the energy inside had been absorbed by Lin Xian. Lin Xian also opened his eyes. His eyes were incomparably sharp, and his aura was much stronger than before. Moreover, his combat power had also increased tremendously. However, his cultivation remained at the 3-star king realm. Lin Xian sighed as he looked at the dull dragon crystal. He knew that he needed a lot of energy to break through, but he didn't expect that he would need so much. An incomparably precious dragon crystal was actually unable to help him break through. One had to admit that the great dragon sword soul was truly terrifying. If it were any other king, they would have broken through long ago. But Lin Xian actually forcibly did not break through. However, his combat power had greatly increased. Now, even if he were to encounter a genius cultivator like Gua Chuanfei from the Holy Land, he would be able to kill him even without launching a sneak attack. Moreover, ordinary Holy Land cultivators were no match for him. Perhaps only those top genius Holy Land cultivators were worthy of fighting him. At the side, the Crimson Dragon also said, "Kid, don't be discouraged. The great dragon sword soul is extremely terrifying. If you break through to become a 4-star king, your battle prowess will be heaven-defying and terrifying. The problem is that the energy required is too much." Lin Xian also knew this, so he decided to set off again. This was because he believed that there must be other dragon crystals in this forest. As long as he could find another one, he would definitely be able to break through. Next, Xian and the Crimson Dragon continued to search this primeval forest. But one had to admit that this forest was really too big. It was boundless, like a green ocean. Moreover, the monster kings here were too terrifying. They had encountered a few in the past few days, and their strength was not inferior to the 6-armed divine ape at all. It could be said that they were terrifying. Even now, Lin Xian and the others had to take a detour. This was because in front of them was an extremely terrifying lair of a monster king. Just the demonic aura at the edge of the lair alone made Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's scalps tingle. Even if an almighty came, they probably would not dare to enter this place easily. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon did not want to cause trouble, so they took a detour. In the end, after half a day, Lin Xian found a waterfall in front of them. Near the waterfall, there was actually a bamboo house. The bamboo house was very exquisite, and even the bamboo on it was emitting a faint glow. Obviously, the bamboo house was not built with ordinary bamboo. There was a grassland near the bamboo house, where countless flowers grew. It was surrounded by a bamboo forest. It was a peaceful scene. Seeing that bamboo house, Lin Xian slowed down, and his expression was extremely solemn, because a bamboo house meant that there were humans. However, he did not know if they were primitive residents or foreign martial artists from the sections. Sure enough, not long after, a figure walked out of the bamboo house. It was a young man. He was tall and handsome. However, there was a coldness between his eyebrows, which made people tremble all over. The young man was wearing a 5-colored robe that flickered with a luster. Someone from the 5 Elements sect. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian frowned. He did not expect to meet someone from the 5 Elements sect here. However, the next moment, he was even more shocked. because another figure walked out of the bamboo house. This figure was very familiar. It was the half-demon woman from the Demon Imperial Palace, Zhao Tianxia, who had fought with him before. However, he did not expect that Zhao Tianxia would walk together with someone from the Five Elements sect. Zhao Tianxia and the handsome man exchanged a few words, and then entered the bamboo house again. The young man was still standing in front, as if waiting for something. Lin Xian was curious and did not know what they were doing. Therefore, he and the Crimson Dragon hid their auras and quietly squatted to the side. He wanted to see what Zhao Tianxia wanted to do. Not long after, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the front, and then two figures quickly rushed over from afar. Soon, they arrived near the bamboo house. They were also two young disciples. The two of them appeared and quickly bowed to the handsome young man. The handsome young man asked in a deep voice, "How is it? Did you find out? The Sea of Death is very terrifying. I'm afraid that less than a tenth of the people can come to this continent. Anyway, those who could come to this continent were not weak." The two disciples quickly said. After hearing this, the handsome young man nodded slightly. Those ordinary rogue cultivators probably can't reach it. However, those peerless giants, peerless sacred grounds, and the clan of the ancients are not to be trifled with. They won't die in the Sea of Death. They will definitely reach it. However, they haven't appeared yet. I wonder what they are doing. The handsome young man frowned slightly. Then, he turned to look at the bamboo house behind him, and a glint appeared in his eyes. That peerless face is really rare in this world. If I can take her in, it will be a happy thing, the handsome young man whispered. After hearing this, the two young disciples behind him laughed. "Senior brother, with your means, it will be easy if you want her." Chapter 17:30. The two young disciples behind him laughed and said, "Senior brother, with your methods, it's easy if you want it." The handsome young man smiled when he heard this. "You should know that I like to do things willingly. I heard that Miss Zhao has a strong enemy on the island. If we can kill him, Miss Zhao might throw herself into his arms." The other two disciples laughed when they heard this. "Don't worry, senior brother. He's just a small warrior. How can he fight against our Five Elements sect? As long as we find that kid, we'll tear him to pieces." Their conversation was completely captured by Lin Xian. His face darkened when he heard this. From the looks of it, these people were from the Five Elements sect, and in order to curry favor with Zhao Tianxia, they wanted to take his life. They're really obsessed. Lin Xian snorted and quietly retreated. With Zhao Tianxia's personality, even if these people from the Five Elements sect succeeded, she would not throw herself into his arms. Instead, she would suck their blood essence dry. More importantly, Lin Xian wasn't going to sit around and wait for his death. He had absorbed the power of the dragon crystal, and his strength had increased greatly. Even if these people from the Five Elements sect outnumbered him, he would not be fearless. Since these people dared to target him, they would have to pay the price. Lin Xian would not hesitate to make a move, but he would not be rash either. The Five Elements sect was an unparalleled sect. The handsome young man in front of him must be a genius in the Five Elements sect. Moreover, there were many disciples of the Five Elements sect around him. Therefore, Lin Xian had to figure out the number of warriors on the other side. Other than Zhao Tianxia, the handsome young man, and the two disciples in front of him, there were 4 more disciples of the Five Elements sect hiding in the surroundings. Presumably, these people were guarding in secret. Fortunately, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were not careless. Otherwise, they would have been discovered by the 4 hidden warriors. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to take action and get rid of the 4 people in the dark first. Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, the Snow White Monkey, and the 2 sword shadows moved quickly. The assassination this time had to be a one-hit kill. They could not give the other party a chance to call for help. Lin Xian was the first to act. He executed the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps silently like a ghost. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand released a cold light. In an instant, he arrived near a hidden martial artist. He waved his long sword, and the sword light flashed. With the sword piercing his vitals, the hidden martial artist's eyes widened. He wanted to make a sound, but he found that he couldn't. Plop. That martial artist fell to the ground. Then, Lin Xian flicked his finger, and a black flame surged out, instantly incinerating that martial artist. Not a single drop of blood was left in the sky. At the same time, the other three parties also made their moves. The Crimson Dragon had just broken through to become a 4-star king. He was very powerful, so he killed the other party easily. On the other hand, the Snow-White Little Monkey cooperated with the 2 sword deity phantoms and also silently killed the other 2 hidden warriors. In an instant, the hidden martial artists around the bamboo house were all killed by Lin Xian. Next, it was the 5-star sect's martial artists in front. In the next moment, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon looked at each other, and then they quickly made their moves. A shocking sword chi, a terrifying dragon claw, and 2 sword god shadows quickly killed their way forward. This change was very sudden. In fact, the 5-element sect's martial artists in front did not even react. In an instant, these terrifying attacks arrived in front of them. One of the disciples did not react at all. Under the attack of this energy, he directly exploded. However, the handsome young man quickly retreated with the other person. "Not good, senior brother. There's an assassination." The disciple's face turned ugly. The handsome young man's face was also cold. "Men, kill him." In the end, it was quiet all around, and there was no response at all. "Stop shouting. They've already gone to hell. You'll join them soon." Hearing this, the handsome young man and the other disciples' faces turned ugly. "Not good. Our people have been killed. Damn it. Who are you? How dare you attack my 5-element sect? If I don't attack you, should I wait for you to attack me?" Lin Xian sneered and appeared in front of them with the Crimson Dragon. "It's you. You're that damn thief." The handsome young man's face turned gloomy when he saw Lin Xian. He naturally knew that this was the powerful enemy that Zhao Tianxia had mentioned, and also the target that he was going to kill next. However, he did not expect that the other party would attack before him. "Good boy, I didn't go looking for you, but I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come here. How dare you kill my 5-element sex people? You really deserve to die. Kneel down and accept your death obediently, and I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death." The handsome young man sneered, and his face regained his confidence. This was because he had already seen 3 figures in the distance, and they were rushing towards them quickly. They were the disciples of the 5-element sect. The other person also laughed. "Haha, there's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it, so you barge in. Since you dare to kill my 5-element sex people, today will be the day you die. Kill." Seeing that there were more people coming, Lin Xian frowned, but in the next moment, he decisively attacked. His entire body turned into a terrifying sword light, and he quickly rushed forward. At the same time, the dragon sword field was released, and it quickly expanded, forming a terrifying sword principle world. With a stab of the sword, the world lost its color. What? So powerful. The 5-element sect's disciple turned pale with fright, and even the handsome young man's face turned solemn. He did not expect that the other party would have such a terrifying sword chi. However, as a genius of the 5-element sect, he was not a useless person, so he immediately shouted and attacked with all his strength. A dazzling brilliance burst out from his hands. Boundless divine power surged out, forming 2 yellow mountains that pressed down viciously. Boom! The void trembled as the 2 yellow mountains collided with the dazzling sword light, and a huge explosion occurred. However, Lin Xian's sword chi was too powerful, and it finally tore the 2 yellow mountains apart. However, this also gave the handsome young man a chance. His body swayed, and he once again retreated to a safe distance. At the same time, a figure flashed out from the bamboo house, and Zhao Tianxia also came out. When she saw Lin Xian, she immediately gnashed her teeth. "Damn thief! How dare you chase after me? Miss Xiao, don't worry. Let's work together and kill him. Moreover, we have the advantage in numbers. This kid won't be able to escape today." "Okay." Zhao Tianxia revealed a cruel smile. Chapter 1731. What? You want to bully me with numbers? Come, come, come. Ben Huang will teach you a lesson. Little girl, come here. Let this king teach you how to behave. The Crimson Dragon pointed at Zhao Tianxia with his claws and sneered. Damn snake, you're courting death. As a genius disciple of the Demon Emperor Palace, she had never been provoked like this. Therefore, she moved her palm, which turned into a silver ray of light and slapped at the Crimson Dragon. The Crimson Dragon laughed without fear. His body flickered, and he dodged like a red bolt of lightning. At the same time, he waved his dragon claws, forming a strong gust of wind that swept across the sky. At the same time, he said loudly, "Kid, leave this little girl to me." As he spoke, he raised his hands and formed two arrays, which enveloped the three martial artists flying over from afar. Seeing that the Crimson Dragon had temporarily restrained Zhao Tianxia and trapped the three people who came to help, Lin Xian smiled. It seems that your numbers won't work. Lin Xian looked at the handsome man in front of him and said coldly. The handsome man, Li Wei, had a gloomy expression. He did not expect that the four-legged snake beside him would have such strength. He was able to restrain Zhao Tianxia. Not only that, but the people he came to help were also trapped by the array. It seemed that they would not be able to break it in a short time. However, he still sneered, "Kid, do you think you can beat me in a one-on-one fight? You're too naive. I'll let you know the power of the Pentaphase sect." Then, he turned to the martial artist beside him and said, "Go and help them break the array." "Yes, senior brother." The disciple quickly moved to help the three people behind him. Only Lin Xian and Li Wei of the Pentaphase sect were left in the field. With a cold snort, Li Wei's body emitted a strong light that swept in all directions like a stormy sea. The powerful aura caused the entire void to tremble. In the next moment, he punched out. Li Wei's movements were not very fast, but that power was abnormally terrifying. It was like a sea, flying in the air. The wind was strong and mighty, and the blue light was like a wave, surging forward violently. That berserk aura was as unstoppable as before. Lin Xian also felt the pressure. He realized that this fist was like the sea, boundless and incomparably vast. Even though it was only a single punch, it had sealed off all paths of retreat. As for him, he could only face it head-on. However, Lin Xian would not be afraid even if he were to face them head-on. He shouted coldly and punched out as well. The Armageddon Black Dragon fist surged forward with a violent aura. The Black Dragon roared, and strong winds blew, as if it wanted to tear everything apart. Boom! In the next moment, the two terrifying fists collided, and a terrifying storm swept out in all directions. The two of them were locked in a stalemate in the air, flashing non-stop. On the other side, Li Wei's expression was solemn. He did not expect that his opponent would be able to block his punch. Therefore, his face became a little gloomy, and he increased his strength again, punching out quickly. Explode! The void exploded in an instant, and the blue waves turned into a substantial sea, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was like a real sea, and it was incomparably terrifying. The blue light that filled the sky instantly shrouded the black fist shadows. The void trembled rapidly, and the ground cracked. Terrifying cracks appeared and spread into the distance. Those black fist shadows were completely engulfed in an instant. Seeing this scene, Li Wei laughed wildly. "Kid, no matter how powerful you are, you can't resist my five-element fist." Five-element fist. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that his opponent's fist technique was indeed terrifying. It should be one of the five-element sect's unique techniques. Lin Xian's guess was right. It was indeed a unique technique. The five-element fist contained the five elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The blue fist earlier was the water element fist of the five-element fist. It was extremely terrifying and could devour everything. It could be said that Li Wei definitely had the right to be arrogant. "Kid, provoking me is the biggest mistake you've made in your life. Today, I'll let you know what regret is." Li Wei sneered and waved his fist again. The blue light was extremely vast, covering the entire sky. It was like countless thousands of feet of sea waves rushing down. Watch me break your five-element fist. Lin Xian also let out a long roar, and his eyes shone brightly. The aura on his body became incomparably violent again, as if he was the king of destruction. Thunderbolt Dragon. He waved his fists, and two black dragons with countless lightning bolts rushed into the sky. Boom, boom, boom. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if two giant dragons were rampaging in the boundless sea. Their huge bodies rushed forward, tearing everything apart. The black lightning even penetrated the sea that filled the sky. This scene was like a raging dragon coming out of the sea. In the end, the sea that filled the sky and the huge dragon shadows disappeared together in the sky. The fierce wind between heaven and earth also quickly dissipated. Lin Xian and Li Wei's figures appeared in front of him again. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and his eyes shone brightly. The blood in his body surged, and the dragon's sword soul quickly awakened. To be honest, he had not met such an opponent for a long time. The person in front of him seemed to be even more terrifying than Guochuan Fei. Such an opponent was worthy of his full strength. On the other side, Li Wei's face was gloomy. He did not expect that the opponent could resist his water element fist. It was really shocking. It was hard to believe that the opponent, a rogue cultivator, could reach such a level. However, he had already decided that he must kill the opponent today, or else it would be a disaster in the future. He, Li Wei, would not leave such a threat alive. With a cold snort, Li Wei's aura rose again, and at the same time, the water blue turned into a fiery red. A terrifying flame aura rushed out, covering the entire space. He threw out a punch, and flames surged in the sky, turning into countless flames that swept forward. Fire Element Fist. After the Water Element Fist, Li Wei performed the Fire Element Fist. This Fire Element Fist was even more terrifying. The heat wave that filled the sky seemed to swallow the sky, burning everything. In an instant, Lin Xian's black fists were all burning. Humph! Lin Xian snorted, and the sword chi on his body soared into the sky, turning into a sharp sword light that slashed forward. The terrifying sword light swept in all directions, suppressing the flames. What? It can actually suppress my fire element fist? When Li Wei saw this scene, he was extremely shocked. His fire element fist was incomparably terrifying. Ordinary 6-star kings could not resist it. However, the opponent's sword light was so strange that it could actually suppress his fire element fist. In fact, even the flames that filled the sky started to dim. Damn it! Li Wei shouted coldly, and his fists changed again. The flames in the sky disappeared, and majestic mountains appeared. They collapsed in all directions, carrying a violent force as they fell mercilessly. Earth Element Fist. When this fist technique was performed, Li Wei's fists became incomparably heavy. They were like ancient demonic mountains that kept falling. Chapter 1732. Earth Element Fist. Li Wei's fist became extremely heavy as soon as he used this fist technique. It was as if many ancient demonic mountains were descending continuously. Those majestic mountains were indeed extremely terrifying. The sword light in the sky was bent from the pressure. This scene was too terrifying. The entire space sank as it could not withstand this power. Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. He used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. His figure was like a ghost as he constantly changed his position. He quickly dodged those terrifying mountains. Between heaven and earth, the void trembled. The earthy yellow light was extremely heavy, as if the 9 heavens' divine mountains had descended to the mortal world. That weight gave Lin Xian a great sense of danger. It was as if it wanted to completely suppress him. Dragon Shadow Rampage. Lin Xian used the Apocalypse Black Dragon Fist again and used a terrifying technique. Boundless black dragon shadows quickly appeared, roaring in the void, and then rushed into the sky. Giant dragon-carrying mountains. One after another, huge black dragons spiraled into the sky, lifting up the huge mountains in the sky and charging straight into the clouds. That incomparably terrifying fist of earth was also neutralized by this move. This scene made Li Wei's expression even more ugly. The other party had given him too many surprises. He was clearly a small rogue cultivator, not a martial artist from any top sect. However, he was able to break his five-element fist. It was indeed unbelievable. Not only was the other party's sword chi incomparably sharp, but his fist technique was even more violent, as if it could destroy everything in time. He had never heard of such a fist technique before. Indeed, very few people could master the Apocalypse Black Dragon Fist. If Lin Xian did not have the Great Dragon Sword Soul, he would not have been able to master such a terrifying fist technique. However, after fighting for so long, how could he stop now? Therefore, he shouted coldly and attacked again ruthlessly. Metal Element Fist. Golden light shone in the sky, enveloping the entire world. Li Wei's aura became incomparably sharp at this moment. It was as if he was the god of war. Between heaven and earth, there was golden light everywhere. It was like a golden sword that swept in all directions. It was overwhelming and incomparably sharp. Like a divine weapon, it charged towards Lin Xian. This was the Metal Element Fist. Once it was used, it was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian's expression also turned grave when he felt this sharp aura. He was not careless at all. He quickly formed a seal with his palms, and a golden heavenly rock also rushed out. The heavenly pong grew bigger with the wind and filled the void. Its entire body shone with golden light. Not only that, those golden feathers turned into countless sharp sword chis at this moment, crisscrossing the area. 108,000 swords. The terrifying sword light was like a surging river, gushing down. It collided with his opponent's fist of metal. Boom! The collision between the two caused a huge collision in the void. Countless bolts of lightning continuously descended. These two terrifying energies clashed with each other, causing terrifying cracks to appear in the void one after another. This scene was too frightening. Even the Five Elements sect martial artists who were fighting in the distance had a drastic change in expression. Zhao Tianxia was also paying close attention with a solemn expression. Li Wei's face darkened. He did not expect his opponent's sword chi to be so sharp, even surpassing his fist of metal. He couldn't believe it. One had to know that he was very confident in his fist of metal. It was a fist technique with extremely terrifying spiritual energy. Once it was used, it could even kill an ordinary six-star king. But now, it was unable to shatter his opponent's sword chi. Damn it, I don't believe it. Break. Li Wei roared crazily, and the golden light on his body shone even brighter. Suddenly, golden fists appeared in the void one after another. They carried terrifying energy and fiercely blasted toward Lin Xian. The violent energy shook violently, shattering everything in the surroundings. Lin Xian also let out a long roar, and the sword chi on his body became even sharper. 108,000 swords, each extremely terrifying. They were like real dragons roaring in the void. Boom, boom, boom. The entire space was completely pierced by the terrifying sword chi. Boom. Li Wei's face changed drastically. He felt incomparable pain all over his body, as if a mountain had crashed into him. He kept retreating. Every time he took a step back, a huge crack would appear on the ground. After retreating for more than 10 steps, the entire ground was completely cracked by him. There were even a few sword scars on his body. It was extremely terrifying. On the other side, Lin Xian stood tall and straight. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and he was completely unharmed. Seeing this scene, Zhao Tianxia and the other Five Elements sect disciples in the distance all paled. They did not expect Li Wei to be at a disadvantage in this battle. This was simply too unbelievable. One had to know that Li Wei was a genius martial artist of their Five Element sect. He had even killed a six-star king before. His strength could be said to be extremely terrifying, but they did not expect him to be suppressed now. Li Wei's face was even more ferocious. Damn it, impossible. How can his sword chi be so powerful? It can actually break my metal element fist? He gritted his teeth, unable to believe what was happening in front of him. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, I have to say that the five-element fist is indeed extremely powerful. It's an ultimate technique that can pierce through heaven and earth, but it's a pity that you haven't mastered it. So, You'll definitely lose this battle. Impudent. Damn, brat, you're too arrogant. Don't think that you can win just because you've suppressed me. Let me tell you, I still have an ultimate move. Li Wei roared angrily. His opponent actually said that he had not mastered the five-element fist. This was really infuriating. In the next moment, he used the five-element fist again and attacked wildly. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the dragon sword realm directly enveloped his opponent. Thousands of terrifying sword chi crisscrossed. It turned into a silver river and blasted his opponent's body. Poof! Not long after, Li Wei's body was sent flying again, crashing into a mountain in the distance. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and there were many sword wounds on his body. His hair was disheveled, and he looked extremely miserable. Damn, brat, just you wait. Li Wei gritted his teeth, feeling indignant. But this time, he did not attack. Instead, he turned around and fled into the distance. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Zhao Tianxia, asking him to leave with him. Humph! Zhao Tianxia's face was extremely ugly. He did not expect Li Wei to run away. However, he also quickly retreated, because now he was no match for Lin Xian. The two of them fled quickly. At the same time, they attacked wildly, shattering the array set up by the Crimson Dragon. He led the remaining 4 disciples of the Five-Element sect and fled into the distance. Trying to escape? Lin Xian sneered. Then, he moved and chased after Lin Xian. The Crimson Dragon also laughed strangely, waved his dragon's power, and followed. Ha 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 ha, little girl, now you know how powerful Ben Huang is. If you obediently become Ben Huang's human pets, maybe Ben Huang will be in a good mood and let you go. Otherwise, you're dead meat. He yelled and screamed like an old monster. Chapter 1733. Be obedient and be Ben Huang's human pets. Maybe Ben Huang will let you go if he's in a good mood. Otherwise, you're dead. He yelled and screamed like an old monster. Zhao Tianxia, who was in front of him, was furious. Her legs went soft and she almost fell. Damn you, snake. I'll catch you and tear you to pieces. Zhao Tianxia roared madly, but he did not dare to stay. In the next moment, they entered a dense forest and disappeared. Lin Xian's figure flashed as he used the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. However, he found that this forest was too strange. He could not accurately capture the other party's tracks. This primeval forest was very mysterious. There was even a faint purple mist surrounding it. Not only did the mist block one's vision, it also interfered with soul power. Therefore, after entering this forest, Li Wei and the others had completely disappeared. Lin Xian frowned, but he still followed. He had to deal with Zhao Tianxia today. Otherwise, who knew how many more enemies she would bring to him in the future? Therefore, he and the Crimson Dragon walked inside. At first, he found some monsters nearby. He even witnessed a battle with his own eyes. A 20-meter-long crocodile with a murderous aura was hiding in the swamp. It suddenly dragged a white jade elephant into the swamp. The white jade elephant struggled crazily, causing the ground to tremble, but it could not break free. Soon, the violent tremors disappeared. The white jade elephant was killed, and its blood dyed the ground red. This set off the danger of this forest even more. Roar! Suddenly, a crocodile stretched out from the ground and bit at Lin Xian. The situation was exactly the same as before. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. He was not the white jade elephant. He would not be dragged into the swamp. His right leg kicked out like a coiling dragon. Boom! A violent vibration sounded. Even the ground was shaking. The mutated crocodile was kicked away. Seeing this, the surrounding crocodiles that wanted to attack suddenly stopped. It seemed that the human in front of him was not to be trifled with. They had plenty of food if they wanted, so there was no need to get into trouble. Therefore, these crocodiles all walked away. Lin Xian coldly snorted and set off again. Gradually, he frowned because he realized that the purple mist around him was getting thicker and thicker. Even the air seemed to have a corrosive quality. With a wave of his hand, streams of sword chi revolved around his body, resisting the corrosion. On the side, The crimson dragon's blood also surged, and a layer of red light rose from its body. Kid, be careful. The Qi here is heavy. I'm afraid there are some undead creatures here. Lin Xian nodded with a solemn expression. This was not the first time he had seen such a place. Back in Feng Mountain, he had seen a similar environment. In such an environment, it was most likely for those kinds of undead creatures to appear. For example, zombies and skeletons. I'm afraid there will be some here as well. After all, there were killings every day in this primeval forest, and there were corpses of demonic beasts everywhere. In addition, in this environment, it would be strange if there were no zombies or skeletons. Sure enough, as he walked forward, he found a pile of skeletons floating in front of him. The small ones were 3 to 4 meters long, and the big ones were 20 to 30 meters long. These skeletons were scattered on the ground, and it seemed that they had been there for a long time. Lin Xian stepped on them, and they immediately turned into a pile of white powder and blended into the swamp. Gradually, the surroundings darkened. The crimson dragon shrunk its neck. Kid, let's leave. This place is dark. I'm afraid there will be changes at night. Besides, those people from the Five Elements sect have entered here. I'm afraid they might not be able to leave. Okay, Lin Xian nodded. He also felt that the atmosphere was a little heavy. Therefore, he did not want to stay in this place for too long. The two of them turned around and were about to leave. However, at this moment, an angry roar came from afar, followed by a low voice. There was a battle. Lin Xian frowned, but the crimson dragon's eyes lit up. Judging by the voice, it should be humans. Could it be those people from the Five Elements sect? Let's go take a look. Originally, the two of them had already left, but they did not expect to find new clues. Anyway, the distance was not far for them, so they might as well go take a look. If it was really the people from the Five Elements sect, then they would take care of them. The next moment, the two of them moved happily and ran forward. Sure enough, it was the people from the Five Elements sect in front of them. They were fighting a group of skeletons. These skeletons had strange shapes, but without exception, they were all made of bones. Although they were skeletons, their speed was extremely fast. They were like white lightning, constantly attacking the people from the Five Elements sect. The people from the Five Elements sect roared and counterattacked, colliding with the opponent's attack and making a low sound. Humph. In front, Li Wei's face was gloomy. He roared and the Five Elements fist rushed out quickly. Monstrous flames appeared, illuminating the sky. A fiery red fist fiercely blasted forward, sending a pile of skeletons flying. Furthermore, the power of the flames they carried with them was burning them. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also waved his finger, and rays of silver light pierced through the void like the spears of gods and demons. They pierced through the skeletons. With the help of these two experts, the skeletons were quickly defeated. However, they were not happy because the surrounding swamp fluctuated again. 6 figures crawled out from the ground again. This time, it was no longer skeletons, but zombies. The 6 zombies were incomparably tall. Their faces were ferocious, and their bodies emitted a terrifying aura. The clothes on their bodies were very old and tattered. As soon as the 6 zombies appeared, they roared and pounced crazily at the people from the Five Elements sect. Get lost. Li Wei roared and directly rushed out with the fire element fist, sending one of the zombies flying. However, what was shocking was that the zombie that was sent flying stood up again, and the clothes on its body were even more tattered. However, it was not injured. What? How is this possible? The people from the Five Elements sect were extremely shocked, and their scalps went numb. That was the fire element fist. It was very terrifying, and even a 6-star king would not be able to withstand it. However, the zombie in front of them was unharmed? This was simply too unbelievable. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also roared. The silver light turned into sharp saber lights and slashed the surrounding zombies, making clanging sounds. Sparks flew in all directions, and the void shook, but it did not have much effect. The silver light only left shallow white marks on the zombies' bodies. It could not penetrate them at all. Damn it! How could this be? Everyone's faces were ugly. Chapter 1734. Damn it! How could this be? I can't pierce through them? Impossible. How can they be so powerful? Everyone's faces were ugly. They discovered that these 6 zombies were much more terrifying than the skeletal creatures from before. The other party's attacks were not particularly fierce, and their speed was not particularly fast either. However, that defense was simply too strong. It was as if their bones were made of divine gold and iron, and they were not damaged at all. Therefore, the people of the 5-element sect were so angry that they roared crazily. To be honest, Lin Xian, who was hiding in the dark and observing, was also extremely shocked. He had experienced the power of the Fist of Fire before. That valiant power shocked him to the core. Moreover, he knew that even a 6-star king might not be able to resist it. However, these zombies were not harmed at all. It was indeed shocking. However, soon, the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. That was because he had already decided to attack. In front of him, the people of the 5-element sect were fighting with the 6 zombies. The commotion was extremely terrifying. However, suddenly, Li Wei frowned because his heart was beating wildly as if he had a bad premonition. In the next moment, his figure retreated rapidly. However, at this moment, the void where he was originally standing was directly cut open, and a black crack appeared. Terrifying killing intent spread out in all directions as if ice had arrived. He actually dodged it. Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand and appeared. To be honest, he was also extremely surprised. He did not expect the other party to be so vigilant. Damn brat, it's actually you. When Li Wei saw the other party, his expression immediately became extremely ugly. He did not expect the other party to still chase after him. Moreover, he chose this moment to attack. Fortunately, he reacted quickly enough just now. Otherwise, he would have been severely injured by now. Even so, his expression was still very ugly. However, soon, the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Originally, he was already having a headache because of the 6 zombies. Now that the other party was here, he could shift the trouble away. He would let the detestable thief in front of him fight with the 6 zombies. Meanwhile, they could calmly retreat. However, he soon realized that his idea would not work at all. That was because the other party's speed was too fast. It was so fast that it made his heart palpitate. Therefore, not only did he not shift the blame, he even had to endure the combined attacks of the zombies and Lin Xian. For a moment, his situation became even more dangerous. Wong, a wisp of sword light like autumn water, incomparably sharp, directly slashed down from the sky. Seeing this, Li Wei quickly retreated, wanting to retreat. However, at the same time, 2 sword gods appeared behind him and quickly attacked. In addition, he was surrounded by zombies, so he couldn't escape at all. He could only take it head-on. Puff. However, he still underestimated these 2 sword god phantoms. At this moment, the 2 sword god phantoms were incomparably sharp. They were like 2 heavenly blades that directly injured Li Wei. Immediately, blood spurted out. Li Wei roared madly as his entire body slowed down. However, at this moment, the 3 zombies in front of him smelled the fresh blood and rushed over in a frenzy. 6 terrifying palms ruthlessly slapped Li Wei's body. Pung pung pung. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out, and Li Wei's body was once again sent flying, smashing into the ground, creating an incomparably terrifying crater. Senior brother. Seeing this scene, the remaining 5-element sect disciples hurriedly ran over. On the other hand, Zhao Tianxia's face was gloomy. In the end, her eyes flickered as she gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. Her body turned into a silver light and fled into the distance. She didn't care about the 5-element sect anymore. Seeing this scene, Li Wei was so angry that he vomited blood. His already heavily injured body became even more serious. He didn't expect Zhao Tianxia to flee at the last minute. He couldn't believe it. Originally, he didn't have any enmity with Lin Xian. He only wanted to kill Lin Xian to win Zhao Tianxia's favor. However, he didn't expect Zhao Tianxia to flee. He couldn't believe it at all. Ignorant fellow. You don't even know that you've been used. Lin Xian snorted coldly. At the same time, he ordered the dark flood dragon god to chase after Zhao Tianxia. As for himself, he was keeping an eye on the Five Elements sect disciples. On the other side, Li Wei's expression was very ugly. He swallowed a few pills and quickly healed his injuries. At the same time, with the help of a few people, he kept fighting. This was because the surrounding zombies were attacking again. As he dodged, Li Wei yelled crazily, "Stop, stop fighting. I have no enmity with you." Previously, I was possessed. I actually believed that bitch's words and became your enemy. Now that I know what kind of person that B*T6 is, I won't be your enemy anymore. Why don't we stop here and shake hands and make peace? I know that you have a grudge with that B*T6. As long as you let us go, I promise that the Five Elements sect will help you catch that B*T and tear her into pieces. His words were very sincere, but Lin Xian could see the killing intent in his eyes. He immediately sneered. You don't have to worry about who I have a grudge with. However, will the Five Elements sect really help me? Don't think that I don't know what you sect disciples are thinking. I'm afraid that if I let you go today, you'll lead a group of Five Elements sect experts to hunt me down tomorrow. I won't leave any trouble for myself. Damn it. Seeing that Lin Xian didn't believe him, Li Wei's face turned even uglier. He didn't expect that Lin Xian wouldn't let him go. He gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, you have to think carefully. I'm a genius disciple of the Five Elements sect. If anything happens to me, the Five Elements sect won't let you go." Lin Xian sneered. What? You want to use force when you can't persuade me? Do you think that this kind of threat will work on me? Since you dare to have ideas about me, you'll have to pay the price. After saying that, Lin Xian didn't say anything else. The sword aura on his body became even sharper. With a wave of his hand, the dragon's sword realm flew out and completely enveloped the other party. He didn't attack directly. Instead, he coordinated with the attacks of the 6 zombies and continuously slashed out sword aura. The 6 zombies were extremely powerful and forced the Five Elements sect to retreat. In addition, Lin Xian's sword aura put them in danger. Not long after, those people were seriously injured. 2 of them were even directly pierced by the sword aura. Damn kid, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. At the last moment, Li Wei roared crazily and burned his spiritual power without caring about the consequences. Then, 5 different elemental lights appeared around him, circling around him and enveloping him. It was obvious that he was going to risk his life. He was going to burn his power at all costs and escape from this place. However, how could Lin Xian let him go? In the next moment, Lin Xian's eyes burst with light. Rays of golden light shot out from his eyes, accompanied by mysterious Dao patterns. These eyes, this is. Chapter 1735. These eyes, this is. When Li Wei saw Lin Xian's golden eyes, his scalp went numb. It was as if he had seen a ghost. He was a genius of the Five Elements sect, so he naturally knew about the heavenly secret divine eyes that had caused an uproar a while ago. Moreover, he had also heard about the legends of these divine eyes. However, he had never imagined that he would discover such an eye technique in his opponent's eyes. This was simply too shocking. How could his opponent have the heavenly secret divine eyes? Could he be a member of the heavenly secret race? He seemed to have discovered a shocking piece of news. However, in the next moment, his body trembled as he fell into an illusion. With his current soul power, he was unable to resist the illusion of the heavenly secret divine eyes. Puff. On the other side, Li Wei had a sinister expression as he resisted with all his might. However, his body was still in place. In the next moment, Lin Xian used the 9 nether devil sword and a black sword chi, sliced his opponent in half. Buzz. The golden light in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared. His figure flickered as he took the opponent's storage ring. He pulled away from the 6 zombies and flew into the distance. The 6 zombies roared again and again. However, in the end, they gave up on chasing Lin Xian. They returned to the corpses of Li Wei and the others and quickly ate them. This scene was extremely terrifying. If someone were to see it, they would definitely scream. However, this was none of Lin Xian's business. He followed the Crimson Dragon's trail and went to kill Zhao Tianxia. Compared to Li Wei, Zhao Tianxia was an even greater threat. This was because Zhao Tianxia knew that he had fought against the people of the Five Elements sect and the All Beginnings Holy Land. If Zhao Tianxia spread this matter, the All Beginnings Holy Land and the Five Elements sect would definitely not let him off. Moreover, Zhao Tianxia's charming technique was extremely strange and could confuse those genius cultivators. If this happened, he would have many more enemies. Therefore, he had to get rid of that witch. Before long, Lin Xian met up with the Crimson Dragon. Unfortunately, he did not see Zhao Tianxia's figure. "What's going on?" Lin Xian asked. "That damned girl. She's too strange. I can't believe she got away." The dark red divine dragon was also furious. He ran away? Lin Xian was also shocked. He was well aware of the Crimson Dragon's methods. It was extremely terrifying. Even if it was tracking a powerful being, it would still be able to chase after it. But now, he actually managed to escape. One had to admit that Zhao Tianxia was too strange and mysterious. That girl's bloodline is very special, and her regenerative ability is very strong. I'm afraid it won't be easy to catch her, the Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice. After that, the two of them searched the area again and found that the other party had completely disappeared. Thus, the two of them could only retreat decisively. Since they couldn't find him, they didn't want to stay here any longer. That was because there were zombies and skeletons all around. If they weren't careful, a fight would break out. The two of them quickly left the area and found a safe place to hide. The next day, when the sun rose, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon came out again. They realized that after walking around for a while, they had actually arrived near the Golden Beach. However, the beach here wasn't the same as the one they had stopped at previously. Since they were here again, Lin Xian took out a beast corpse from the black earth, and the two of them started to roast it. The sun gradually rose and the sunlight shone over the entire sea. The water rippled, and the sunlight was so bright that it was difficult to open one's eyes. However, amidst the endless sunlight, a figure walked over. "Someone's coming." Lin Xian and the Anhui Divine Dragon both had serious expressions on their faces. That was because the people who came last time were Guochuanfei and the others. After that, they had a huge battle with them. They didn't expect another person to come this time. However, they didn't know which sect this person belonged to. In front of the sea, a white figure walked on the waves. His speed was very fast. With a single step, he could cross 1,000 feet. It was as if he could shrink the ground into an inch. After a few steps, he arrived at the Golden Beach. It was a very handsome man in white. His clothes fluttered in the wind, making him look like an immortal descending to the mortal world. He wasn't old. He was only in his 20s. He seemed to be about the same age as Lin Xian. His eyes were as bright as the stars. The vitality in his body was even more vigorous. It was as if an ancient beast was hibernating in his body. Lin Xian was shocked. The man in white in front of him was definitely extremely powerful. Even he felt a sense of trepidation. When the man in white saw Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, he was also slightly surprised. However, his expression soon calmed down. "You two are?" the man in white asked in a deep voice. He didn't know Lin Xian at all, but he could feel how terrifying he was. That surprised him. One had to know that his background was extremely extraordinary. Moreover, his strength was extremely powerful. There were very few people who could match him in the same realm. However, he didn't expect to meet someone who was about the same age as him and whose strength was unfathomable. Therefore, he was very curious. "I'm Long Xian. I'm a rogue cultivator," Lin Xian said. Now that he was wanted by the Wavering Light Sacred Land, he naturally wouldn't use his real name. "Long Xian?" the man in white whispered, as if trying to recall the name. However, he realized that he had never heard of this person. However, that didn't mean that he would underestimate this person. "I'm Yi Wudao," the man in white said in a deep voice. "Yi Wudao? What a domineering name." Lin Xian was shocked. He realized that this person was indeed surprising. Compared to Guochuanfei and the others, he was much stronger. Although he hadn't seen this person's true strength, Lin Xian was certain. To the side, the Crimson Dragon was also shocked. He was shocked that this person's surname was Yi. The surname Yi was not an ordinary surname in the Eastern Wilderness. In the Eastern Wilderness, there was a clan of the ancients with the surname Yi. However, he didn't know if this Yi Wudao in front of him was a disciple of a clan of the ancients. Brother Dragon, may I know if there's anything strange about this land? Yi Wudao asked. He had just arrived, so he naturally wanted to ask about it. Lin Xian saw that Yi Wudao didn't have any killing intent towards him and didn't put on airs either. Therefore, he roughly explained the situation here. He had too many enemies now, and he needed some companions. And this Yi Wudao in front of him seemed to be a good person. Therefore, Lin Xian wanted to get closer to him. As the two of them were talking, a few figures flew over from the sea in the distance. These figures had powerful auras, and they were very fast. It didn't take long for them to reach the beach. When they arrived on the beach, they began to look around. When they saw the man in white, their expressions changed. They didn't expect him to be here. However, what was even more shocking was that the white-robed young man, Leaf Dao Denier, was standing next to someone else. Chapter 1736. However, what shocked them even more was that the white-clothed youth, Yi Wudao, was actually standing side by side with someone else. Who is that person? He's actually standing together with Yi Wudao? For a time, those people were shocked. They all looked at Lin Xian, but then they became even more confused. They didn't recognize this person at all. Moreover, they had never heard of this person in the various peak powers. Perhaps he was a genius disciple that those peak powers had secretly raised. These people thought to themselves, because in their opinion, anyone who could stand together with Yi Wudao was absolutely not an ordinary person. While these people were sizing up Lin Xian was also sizing them up. This was because he discovered that these people were indeed abnormally strong. Each one of them seemed stronger than people like Li Wei and Guo Chuanfei. Moreover, these people didn't seem very old. They were in their 20s, and the oldest was in their 30s. They were all from the younger generation. There was no need to think about it. These were all geniuses of peerless sects and peerless holy lands. This refreshed Lin Xian's opinion of these peak powers. He originally thought that people like Guo Chuanfei and Li Wei would be considered decent geniuses in these peak powers. But now, it seemed that he was far from correct. Every single person here was stronger than Guo Chuanfu and Li Wei. Perhaps those two people from before were only ordinary disciples in their peerless holy lands. Thinking of this, Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. In the next moment, Lin Xian exclaimed in admiration, "What a beautiful woman!" That's right, there was a beautiful voice among the people who had arrived. Her beautiful face was not inferior to Morong Qingqing's. She was definitely an unrivaled beauty. At this time, the people in front of him quickly greeted him. "Brother Yi, I didn't expect to see you here." Yi Wudao nodded. Then, he explained to Lin Xian, "Do you see that beautiful woman? She's a genius disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Lu Mingyue. She has a very high chance of becoming the All Beginnings Holy Daughter. Lu Mingyue, a candidate for the Holy Daughter." Hearing this, Lin Xian was also shocked. Firstly, he did not expect the woman in front of him to be so powerful that she was qualified to be the saintess. Furthermore, what shocked him even more was that the other party was actually someone from the All Beginnings Holy Land. One had to know that not long ago, he had killed Guo Chuanfei and several other martial artists of the All Beginnings Holy Land. He hadn't expected to run into people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. If news of him leaked out, there would be a battle between the two sides. Other than Lu Mingyue, the others were also very powerful. One of them was even more eye-catching because he was too tall. It was a full 3 meters. The muscles on his body coiled like a dragon, emitting a terrifying aura. It was like a humanoid beast, terrifying to the extreme. According to Yi Wudao's introduction, Lin Xian knew that this powerful youth was a martial artist from the Four Symbols Holy Lands. His strength was boundless and incomparably terrifying. The other two were also disciples of great sections. Among them was a pale-faced youth. When he saw the vast primeval forest in front of him, his eyes lit up. What a beautiful forest! It seems that this place is indeed suitable for me. Lin Xian was stunned. He did not know why the other party said that. However, in the next instant, he understood. That was because he saw the pale-faced youth walking forward. Soon after, the tall trees in front of him started to tremble. Many branches and vines came to life at this moment, and all of them quickly extended towards the pale-faced young man. In fact, wherever the youth walked, grass would grow on the ground. There were also unknown flowers. What kind of technique is this? Lin Xian was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. His name is Yin Qing. His domain is the thornflower domain. It's very special. It belongs to the plant system. It's very special, the white-clothed youth, Yi Wudao, explained. So that's how it is. Lin Xian nodded after hearing that. He had to admit that these people were too mystical. The pale-faced youth, Yin Qing, looked around and said with a smile, "It seems that we aren't too late. There aren't many people in the forest." Indeed. Yi Wudao nodded, however. It won't be long before more experts come here. On the other side, Lu Mingyue said in a sweet voice, "It's easy to come here, but it won't be so easy to leave. I didn't expect there to be indigenous people here. That's a big problem." Lu Mingyue was not only beautiful, but her voice was also very pleasant. Everyone frowned when they heard her words. Indeed, there were indigenous people here. They could be said to be a potential threat, because they did not know when they would make a move. Moreover, they still did not understand how to leave this special mystic world. Boom! However, at that moment, an earth-shattering sound suddenly came from the sea in the distance. Then, a wave of air exploded and boundless waves slapped in all directions. One of the waves was 1,000 feet tall. It rushed toward Lin Xian as if it wanted to devour them. Humph! The 3-meter-tall youth, Ouyang Feng, snorted and waved his fist. The terrifying power directly shattered the horrifying waves. However, the others frowned because they did not understand what was going on. But soon, their eyes widened. Even Yi Wudao, Lin Xian, and the others felt their scalps go numb, because they discovered that there was a battle in front of them. Above the sea in the distance, a fierce battle was going on at this moment. One side of the battle was a human powerhouse. They did not know which sect he was from, but the aura he emitted was abnormally terrifying. His opponent, on the other hand, was a terrifying black octopus. Its body was huge, like a small island, and it emitted an incomparably terrifying demonic aura. The battle between the two was abnormally fierce. Seeing this black octopus, Lin Xian's heart beat wildly, because he had encountered this opponent before. However, he had dodged it quickly. But he did not expect that there would be someone who dared to fight the black octopus, because from what he felt at that time, this black octopus was very terrifying. It was probably at the level of a human almighty. Ordinary martial artists were not its opponent at all. But now, it seemed that the human powerhouse could contend with it. Could it be that an almighty has made a move? The pale blue youth's eyes flickered. It was indeed an almighty. Lu Mingyue's expression was also solemn. But soon, she frowned. But this power doesn't seem right. Something was wrong. Something was indeed wrong. Not only her, but everyone else had noticed it. Among them, Yi Wudao frowned. This power doesn't seem like an almighty at all. Chapter 1737. What's going on? Is he hiding his strength? That can't be. That black octopus is extremely terrifying and has reached the level of an almighty. He wouldn't be so careless. Indeed, the black octopus was extremely terrifying. As it waved its 8 tentacles, it brought about a terrifying light as it bombarded the opponent. As for the human almighty, he was dodging non-stop. However, the power he used did not seem to be at the level of an almighty. He did not even use some of the almighty's techniques. What was going on? Everyone frowned. They did not understand what the other party was doing. Based on the current situation, the human almighty was extremely dangerous. Sure enough, after a few hundred moves, The human almighty was hit by a huge tentacle and his body was smashed into the sea. Not only that, the black octopus roared. A black ball of light formed above its head and blasted into the sea. Boom! The ball of light was so terrifying that it completely overturned the entire sea. The aftermath of the energy caused Lin Xian, Yu Wudao, and the others to hurriedly put up their energy defenses to resist. Because this was the energy of an almighty, they were unable to resist it. However, the aftermath could still be blocked. After a long time, the entire sea returned to normal. In the distance, blood flowed along the sea. Soon, a corpse floated up. What? He was killed. How could this be? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. A dignified human mighty figure had actually been killed. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that that was a human almighty. Extremely terrifying. Even if he could not defeat the black octopus, escaping would not be a problem. However, he had been killed by the black octopus. What puzzled them was that the human almighty had not displayed any extraordinary techniques from the beginning to the end. That was why he was killed. What's going on? Was that almighty seriously injured? Is that why he couldn't use his full strength? Lu Mingyue frowned. The group was very confused. The Crimson Dragon's expression was extremely ugly. What's wrong, Rouzelong? Lin Xian asked. That almighty was not injured, the Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice. However, his strength has not reached the almighty realm. There might be one possibility. What possibility? Even Leaf Dao Denier and the others were curious. His cultivation is being suppressed, said the Crimson Dragon. The oblique moon profound world is a world of its own, and its laws are different from the outside world. Here, we can't easily mobilize the surrounding spiritual energy. In other words, the rules here are very disadvantageous to outsiders like us. If that's the case, it wouldn't be difficult for the Almighty's cultivation to be suppressed. After all, it contained the power of the laws. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The fact that the cultivation level of an almighty being was being suppressed was simply too shocking. However, what the Crimson Dragon said was reasonable. They were not ordinary warriors. They were all top geniuses of various major forces. They were experienced and knowledgeable. Thus, they believed those words in their hearts. If this was true, then it was definitely very bad news. Because in this way, their advantage would be gone. The clan of the remote antiquity, the peerless sacred grounds and other forces in the eastern barren territory had all sent grand overlords. But now, if their cultivation levels were being suppressed, the situation would be very disadvantageous for them if they encountered the natives. For example, the giant octopus from before could kill grand overlords. Thinking of this, their faces turned gloomy. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was overjoyed. It might not be good news for the major forces that the Almighty's cultivation level was being suppressed, but for him, this was the best news. Because he was alone, without any sect, and there was no grand overlord protecting him. Originally, he was worried that it would be difficult for him to escape if the grand overlords of the wavering light, sacred ground chased after him. But now, it seemed that these things were no longer a problem. If the grand overlord's cultivation level was suppressed, no matter how powerful he was, Lin Xian would have no problem escaping if he couldn't defeat him. Moreover, there were many monsters in this primitive forest. As long as he made use of them, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill grand overlords. Thinking of this, he felt a burst of excitement. Humph! Wavering light's sacred ground. How dare you put me on the wanted list for so long? You'd better not let me run into you. Otherwise, I'll definitely give you a super gift. Lin Xian coldly snorted in his heart. Since they knew about this situation, they had to make preparations in advance and inform the other members of the sect as soon as possible. Therefore, Lu Mingyue and the other three said, "Brother Yi, we're going to leave this place. Would you like to join us?" Hearing this, Yi Wudao shook his head and said, "No, I have other things to do." "All right, then we'll part ways here." Lu Mingyue smiled sweetly. Then, the four of them moved and left the place. During this process, they didn't invite Lin Xian. In their opinion, although Lin Xian was mysterious, he wasn't qualified to be with them. Regarding this, Lin Xian remained calm. After all, even if they invited him, he would still refuse. He couldn't walk together with the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Then, Yi Wudao also left. For a time, only Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were left on the beach. However, the two of them moved quickly. Their goal was the dragon crystal in this primitive forest. After killing Li Wei, Guochuanfei, and the others, Lin Xian believed that apart from those powerful monstrous beasts, there was no one else in this forest that could be his match. But now, it seemed that things had changed. The cultivators that had rushed over from behind were too powerful. For example, Yi Wudao, Lu Mingyue, and the others were all extremely terrifying. They far surpassed the cultivators from before. This posed an enormous threat to him. Therefore, he had to find the dragon crystal and increase his cultivation. Only then would he be able to survive in this forest. And so, they entered the forest again. However, after walking for a while, the little snow-white monkey suddenly jumped out. It grabbed Lin Xian's hair and started chirping nonstop. Its little paws were constantly gesturing as if it wanted to bring him to a certain place. "Where are we going?" Lin Xian asked. Then, he followed the little monkey into the forest. But not long after, Lin Xian's face darkened. That was because he discovered that the little monkey had brought him to the lair of a monstrous beast king. Moreover, it wasn't an ordinary monstrous beast king. It was the incomparably ferocious six-armed divine ape from before. The Crimson Dragon felt his scalp go numb. He said in a low voice, "Damned brat, are you trying to kill us? Why did you bring us here?" His voice was so low that it was almost inaudible. That was because the six-armed divine ape was sleeping. He was afraid of disturbing it. Chapter 1738. If it woke up and discovered them, it would be difficult for them to escape. The little white monkey waved its paws as if to say that it was very safe here. Lin Xian was very suspicious. He carefully probed with his soul power and found that the six-armed abyss seemed to be in a very strange state. It probably wouldn't wake up for a while. Should we go and take a look? Anyway, he had mastered the heavenly dragon's 8 steps and his speed was terrifying. Even if there was danger, he should be able to escape. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to go and take a look. After all, if the little white monkey was so concerned about it, it was probably a rare treasure. Therefore, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon discussed for a while and then cautiously walked forward. In front of them, the six-armed godly ape was like a small golden mountain, crawling there. Although it was in a strange deep sleep, the demonic aura emitted from its body was still very terrifying. It made them all feel a sense of trepidation. Not only that, when Lin Xian got closer, he found that there were a few terrifying cracks on the back of the six-armed godly ape. It must have been injured by the 9th heaven divine thunder that day. It was probably in a deep sleep now because of the injuries on its body. If that was the case, Lin Xian and the others would be much safer. In front of them, the little white monkey was jumping up and down on the six-armed godly ape quickly. This scene almost made the Crimson Dragon's jaw drop. He quickly pulled the little white monkey over and scolded it. He was afraid that it would wake up the six-armed godly ape. However, it was reassuring that the six-armed godly ape hadn't woken up yet. Woo-woo. The little white monkey stopped fooling around. It pointed to the front and signaled Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon to go over. Then it took the lead and ran over. Could it be that there's really a treasure? Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon quickly went over. Then they were stunned, because they found that there was a 5-colored stone in front of them. The 5-colored stone was the size of a palm and stood in front of them. It was surrounded by a 5-colored radiance and emitted waves of spiritual qi. When Lin Xian saw it, he was also stunned. "Ruzalong, what is this?" he asked in bewilderment. "I don't know." The Crimson Dragon shook its head. He was experienced and knowledgeable, but he still didn't know what the 5-colored stone in front of him was, because that stone was simply too strange. Judging from the brilliance, it seemed to be a treasure. However, the faint aura it gave off seemed to be something that had existed for a very long time. It gave people a very contradictory feeling. In the next moment, the crimson dragon waved its claws, trying to grab the colorful stone. But soon, he was stunned, because he realized that he couldn't pull it out at all. That five-colored stone seemed to be connected to the earth. It was abnormally hard. F***CK. Did I see a ghost? The crimson dragon didn't believe it. It circulated its strength again and pulled up quickly. However, he couldn't shake it at all. F***CK. This is really weird. Bin Huang can't pull it out. The crimson dragon frowned angrily. Lin Xian stopped him when he saw that the crimson dragon was about to attack again. Ruzalong, don't mess around. It won't be good if you break this treasure. Let me try. After saying that, he stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. A palm of light appeared and carefully enveloped the five-colored stone. Then, he pulled it up forcefully. The result was the same. He still couldn't pull it out. This is really weird. Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't dare to use his full strength for fear of alarming the six-armed ape beside him. However, judging from the strength he had exerted, even if it was a mountain, he would be able to pull it out. But now, he couldn't pull out a stone the size of a palm. It was really too weird. However, the little white monkey squinted his big eyes like crescent moons. He quickly ran in front of the five-colored stone, then stretched out his furry little paws and hugged it in his arms. Plop! With a gentle hug, the little white monkey pulled out the five-colored stone. What? That works? The dark red dragon widened its eyes, unable to believe what it was seeing. Lin Xian's mouth twitched. He couldn't pull it out after using so much strength, but the little white monkey pulled it out with a gentle hug. This was too weird. Sigh. The crimson dragon held his chin and thought for a long time before saying, "This is definitely a treasure. Legend has it that a divine item can choose its owner. It seems that the two of us were unlucky to not be chosen by the divine item." Lin Xian was also confused. You mean, we couldn't pull out the five-colored stone because we weren't fated with the treasure? And Little White was chosen? That should be the case. The crimson dragon sighed. Damn that little guy. His luck is too good to be able to obtain such a divine item. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. Although he didn't get it, it was good to give it to the little white monkey. After all, Little White was his partner. Since they had obtained the five-colored stone, Lin Xian and the other two didn't dare to stay here any longer. They quickly moved and ran into the distance. This time, they climbed over more than a dozen mountains in a row. After putting enough distance between them, they stopped. They had no choice. This thing was next to the six-armed ape. Who knew if it belonged to it? If it woke up and found that the divine item was gone, it would definitely go berserk. They couldn't fight against a berserk monster king. Therefore, they could only run as far as they could. In a safe forest, Lin Xian and the other two stopped. Then, the little white monkey jumped on the ground, still holding the five-colored stone in its arms. Lin Xian and the crimson dragon also observed it carefully. They didn't take a closer look before and only felt that the five-colored stone was extraordinary. Now that they took a closer look, it was indeed so. The five-colored stone was the size of a palm and almost as tall as the little white monkey. There were 5 colors on it, and it emitted a bright light. It was like a divine light that contained a lot of power. Lin Xian even found that wherever the 5-colored stone was, the surrounding spiritual energy would involuntarily gather towards it. Could it be that the 5-colored stone can absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth? Lin Xian was shocked. The snow-white little monkey hugged the 5-colored divine stone and was as happy as a child. It took a deep breath, and a 5-colored light appeared on the 5-colored stone and then entered the little white fox's body. Soon, Little White's body was suffused with a faint 5-colored light. It was very sacred. Damn! At the side, the crimson dragon was very envious. Its saliva was almost dripping onto the ground. In the next moment, it also took a deep breath. Suddenly, a 5-colored light rushed out and entered the crimson dragon's body. Damn, no way. I can absorb it too? The crimson dragon was very excited. Lin Xian tried and found that he could absorb it too. This made him very happy. However, he found that after they absorbed it, the 5-colored stone's light became much dimmer. Damn. No way? It's out of energy? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.